Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 9 of season 21 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series at the beautiful Red Bull Ring. My name is Tim Gobe, and joining me in the comms booth today on cameras is Mr. Glenn Germain, and my provisional hype man for tonight for Split Yellow will be Mr. David Marsh. How are you, David?
Hey, not too bad. And yourself? Looking forward to a fun night at Red Bull Ring with, I don't know, every left corner in the world?
Yes, mostly left corners. No, it's right corners, and there's a couple left corners. I think turn 6, turn 7 are the only left corners on this track, as we see our drivers right now going out for their first qualifying session. Anyways, I'm excited for this one. How about you?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I'm pumped. I'm a little bit gutted I missed out on this because I had to pull out of the series due to life problems because apparently life's important and sim racing's not, but, you know. Yeah, I've only done Red Bull Ring once, I think, and that was when I was back in Rookies. I thoroughly enjoyed it. What about yourself? Have you done too many laps around the Austrian ring?
Red Bull Ring enjoyer myself, especially driving a car like the Mustang. It absolutely loves these flat-out power tracks. It's only mostly high-speed corners. I think the only real mid-speed corners will be turn 3 and turn 4. But apart from that, it's just mostly flat-out. It's, in my opinion, it's like similar to, in a way, Monza, but more fun. At least that's how it is for me. I don't enjoy Monza, but a track like this where it's just full on, balls to the walls, absolutely love it.
A fellow Monza non-enjoyer? How does this happen?
I don't know. I think Monza's I just don't like the track. I don't like the way it flows, but that's just me. I don't want to start with the controversies right now, as we're currently looking at Benjamin Hignett, currently out for his first flying lap, and it looks like we have a decently sized field here at Red Bull Ring, but he does have a lot of clean air ahead of him. Couple of cars going side by side I see on the track map, but I don't think they'd be on valids yet, so they're just setting up for their first flying lap. But let's see what times these drivers up front will be getting, as we're now looking at Lucas Keys and finally his interesting GTR livery finally showing up on stream. Do you have any opinions on that one, David?
I've tilted my head to the left going, must be Lucas things.
It definitely is Lucas things. Now Lucas Keys is our leader for the Split Yellow Championship, and I think he's already got it, as he does have 884 points to his name, and this is the second last round. I don't think that any drivers behind him actually can pass him, so I think he's already got it in the bag, as he's already on the rear bumper of Benjamin Hignett. It's a bit early to go racing. We're only qualifying here, Lucas. Slow down a bit.
Pop, out of the way, coming through.
As he's already on a 27.655, 0.8 ahead of P2, or 0.6 ahead of P2 of Dylan McDowell, and P3 currently is Jaden Rondinella with a 28 point, let me do some quick maths here, 28.4.
Oh, I'm glad that you can do quick maths, mate, because yeah, numbers and I we're not friends.
I'm not saying I'm any good at maths. I don't know. As we're currently looking at Joshua Vediger, currently with the exact same time as Jaden Rondinella. Actually, never happens, as they're both exactly 0.8 behind Lucas.
Yeah, mate, literally never happens. You'd never see that in OR, mate.
Jokes aside, we say never happens. I swear I've been seeing these exact same times a lot more often recently. So maybe that's the BOP playing its part in there. Obviously the GTR, another car that absolutely loves this track. GTR loves power tracks. the same as the Mustang. So excited to see how the field is going to spread out car-wise, seeing that some cars will benefit out of this track, some others not so much, but we'll see. As we currently have a red screen, which means race control is now live, and it looks like Joshua Vediger deciding to pull over to the side, now currently on provisional P3, also with a 27 in their name.
I'd love to see a 27 next to my name. I can't even remember what times I was getting. Last time I was here, I was in the... Wow, I think it might have been Ferrari when I was in that. So, yeah, that would have been rookie days. So, you're a bit of a Ford enthusiast, I've heard, Gobby. Thoughts on how the fellow Mustangs will power through the field in this one? Do you reckon the Mustang's just going to ooze that raw American power and just blitz everybody along with the GDRs?
I think it really depends on the driver. I think it's pretty eco, the GTR, but the GTR itself being more nimble and being better on acceleration than the Mustang. I think the GTR does have the slight edge over the Mustang, but this track is all about keeping momentum and not bleeding off too much speed, as it's basically all high-speed corners. Like I said, a couple medium-speed corners, but it's mostly high-speed corners. So really what matters here is being able to hold your momentum, and if the Mustang does manage to hold its momentum, again, the Mustang being another one of those cars, if you do end up using high TC, it just kicks it so much and you just bleed off a lot of time. So I think for the Mustangs, it's going to be very driver dependent, and with the GTRs, it's another issue where it likes to slide in the corners, so if you slide too much, obviously you're going to bleed off speed. So we'll have to see, but I do think the GTR is the slightest edge on the Mustang over here.
The slightest edge being not a boat, or because that's what I found with the Mustang. It just, I shouldn't say this in front of you, Gobby, but it just felt like a boat. I've seen ships turn around in harbours probably faster than what I could turn the Mustang around. So I've got faith in the GDR. I don't know if I should say it out loud, but I've got faith in the GDR coming through, and well, Lucas is driving one, so there you go.
Talking about faith, I've got faith in Saxon Hayes, the only Audi currently in split yellow, unless I'm not sure if Slady has gone back to the Audi, but we're currently looking at Saxon Hayes in the Audi now. He's got an uphill battle to fight in that specific car, but he likes the car. He does manage to get some results out of it, as he's currently provisionally in P5, so that's a solid effort for Mr. Hayes here, the fellow Audi driver.
I'm just trying to look up to see if Slady has gone back to Audi, because I can't keep up with him changing cars all the time. I did give the Audi a bit of a go. I didn't mind it, actually, dare I say it. It's an interesting car, but yeah, I didn't mind it, eh?
Yeah, it's not as bad as how some other people make it to be, in my opinion. I've tried it as well. I find that it's hard to get the what's the word? The top pace out of it compared to other cars. It takes a lot more effort to be properly quick in it, but it can be done. It's a bit twitchy on a couple tracks. Sometimes it just wants to spin for no reason, I found, but that's probably a skill issue on my end. But anyways, yeah, I think it's just one of the harder cars to drive over here, but I don't think it's the hardest in my opinion, but you know, that's up for debate. It really depends on the driver, really, as we're currently looking at Stephen Ty, currently 0.3 behind Lucas Keys, but he is up on the Delta, currently 0.15 up. Let's see if he can find more time here, and he does find more time around turn 7. Well, this is turn 7. That really slingshots you onto the straight into turn 9. This is where a lot of drivers do end up bleeding off their time is right over here, but Steven Tai does not bleed time. In fact, he does find that sometimes he goes around the final corner now, and he's currently 0.25 up, but he does go invalid at the very last corner, so this lap, unfortunately, is not going to count, but if it did, it would have been a 27.6, so that would have been a pretty solid lap from Steven Tai, but he does have a couple more shots at a lap, so let's see what he can do.
Yeah, unfortunate on the very last corner. Yeah, I got to admit I've done that a few times here and there, and you think you're on a flyer and you're hyping yourself up coming to the last corner and you've invalidated and have another go. Just head down, and he's 0.1213 up, so he's still up.
It says he's valid, but I didn't notice. This is one of those tracks where you can end up invalidating your next lap for going wide on the final corner, and you want to go as wide as possible because you want to go as fast as possible, so you want to use as much track as possible. And these drivers really finding the edge of the limits when it comes to finding time, and obviously Steven Tai pushing to get potentially pole position. He almost got it last lap, but he would have still been 0.1 down from Lucas, but still P2 in this field is a very respectable time. But let's see what he can do, as we're currently seeing him go around turn 9, and he does slow down, which does appear to show perhaps he was indeed invalid that lap, so he will set up for his final flying lap right about now as he goes back across the start finish line with 40 seconds to go. And let's see what Steven Tai has in the tank of the big Japanese supercar.
Oh, the Mr. Drifter car. I can't say I've had much good luck with the GDR, but obviously Lucas and Steven have, and doing bloody good times at the moment. Ooh, lost a little bit of time there, but he might gain some in the next little sector here. Should be interesting to see.
It's really hard, I found, on this track to find the fastest pace. Like I said, you're always pinned on the throttle, so it's a lot of times it's not immediately obvious where you're losing time. Obviously you can look at your delta, but sometimes you feel like you're pushing so hard, and yet sometimes the delta just goes red, as we're now looking at Luke Johnson, another GTR driver. Now if you look at the top 4, you see it's all GTRs and one Mustang and a Porsche in P5, the Porsche of Dylan McDowell, making it into P5, and then followed by a Ferrari in P6. But most of this top 10 is actually GDRs, as we have Luke Johnson currently on provisional P5, as Aaron Lee does get P4 in another GTR. This is really a stacked GTR field, and I think this track is just probably one of the stronger ones for this car in particular.
I'm seeing a pattern here with GDRs and Red Bull Ring, mate. I feel the GDRs are going to have it tonight for some reason.
Either that, or they're going to spin around turn 1.
I was wondering if you were going to go with that line of thinking.
We have Saxton Hayes also managing to jump Luke Johnson. And we have Glory Babby as well in P4. No, never mind. Ignore what I've been saying. I thought Glory Babby got P4, but it looks like they did not. Or if they did, they may have lost connection. Anyways. So it's looking like I'm having some insider information that perhaps Glory Babby has connection issues, but I'm sure I saw that McLaren get up to P4, so that another very strong car at Red Bull Ring, but looking like they're not going to make the grid for this race, or maybe they will. We will see when they join back, if they do decide to join back. But currently, Lucas Keys will be on pole position in a GTR, followed by Steven Tai in P2 in another GDR, and finally in P3 we finally got a different car. That'd be the Mustang of Joshua Vettiger, followed by Aaron Lee, and Saxon Hayes will close out the top 5 in the Audi. That's a respectable effort for Saxon Hayes. But anyways, 30-minute 30-minute sprint races over here at the Red Bull Ring, so these guys will probably be running around about half tank, so we're going to see some proper quick laps here around the Red Bull Ring, and it's going to be a top 10 reverse grid qualifying. For those that have never been here for reverse grid, our top 10 will end up going reverse grid. So P10 for race 1 will end up on pole position for race 2, and P1 will be in P10. Anybody behind P10 will go out for another 10-minute qualifying session to set the grid from P11 onwards.
That could spice things up a little bit now, couldn't it? We could see a bit of spice in the race 2, you reckon, Gobby?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if perhaps we're going to see some strategic calls in this race. Maybe drivers trying to hold out for P10 so they can get pole position for race 2. I know I've done it myself in the past. You're in P10 and you're thinking, oh, I could get pole position for race 2 here. I don't really want to pass the driver ahead of me. But at the same time, these drivers being as competitive as they are, they want the glory of finishing as high up as possible in both races. So we will see as we have the McLaren of, I think that is Glory Babby at the back here. I don't quite remember what his livery looks like, but the number 3, who is the number? So that is Glory Babby. So it looks like they have joined back, but they have had to start this race from the back of the field. That is unfortunate for Glory Babby, but they are a really quick driver, so I wouldn't be surprised if they manage to fight their way back up. In fact, that makes it a more interesting challenge for us to commentate on. So we will see how Glory Babby does in this race, and hopefully he can get into the top 10 as Lucas Keys lead the drivers out for the first formation lap of the evening.
I was just looking at Lucas's livery. Does that mean when you're coming up next to him, he's keeping his eye on you, or could it be a subliminal message? Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out eventually.
I think it's just Lucas things, honestly.
Well, yeah, I'm going to run with that, actually, just Lucas things.
That is a bit disturbing, the eye on the side.
Even on the back of his car.
I think it's to distract his fellow competitors behind him.
I'd be too busy staring at the eyes going, what are you looking at? Why are you looking at me?
It's, in my opinion, it's not as effective as Michael Babb's trypophobia. Trypophobia liver. That's horrible. I would not be able to follow that car around the track. I just I don't like that.
It was bad enough when Hobbsy and I were commentating and he came up. Hobbsy's like, no, get off that car. I hate it. And I'm like, no, stay there. I like this. This is quite funny.
It just hurts the eyes. Anyways, would you like to do the restart for race 1, or would you like to do the restart for race 2, David?
Mate, I'll follow your lead, mate. I'm just, I'm filling a gap here, just trying to be the hype guy and, general idiocy.
Alrighty, so I'll take race 1, you can do race 2, how about that?
Yeah, okay, mate. I don't know how well I'll go on race 2, but let's get into it.
Alrighty, as they're now double five, as we have 2-3 GTRs following each other here around the penultimate corner of Red Bull Ring, as Lucas Keys now leads us through the start-finish line, and it is a pretty big field. Just look at the amount of GTRs in the lone Mustang here at the front. Let's see how this start goes on, as we're going to have a restart initialized, and we are going... Eventually, we're going green, finally green for race 1 at the Red Bull Ring, and looking like Lucas does get a pretty good start, but he does get a bit of pressure from Stephen Ty. Couple drivers there hitting the inside sausage. You really don't want to be hitting that, as it tends to launch you off track. But pretty clean start so far for Split Yellow, but we'll see. It's only been T1. We're now going through turn 3, and a lot of cars. We see 3 wides, 4 wide at the back of the GTRs. We see a Ferrari into the wall at the back. That looked like the Ferrari of John Stockton hitting the wall, and it's looking like there's another car behind him. I think that's the number 17. Was that 17? I don't quite. 77. So that's the BMW of Harry Smiles also getting into a bit of trouble, but so far, it's been a mostly clean start over here.
Yeah, look, hey, I was expecting car park as we've heard once or twice before on here. I was sort of expecting, can't drive there, mate. Go on the black stuff. That works better. I was expecting a little bit more spice in T1, T2, but they managed to get through it not too bad.
Now, I'm also wondering the damage that Stockton has, because it looks like the front end did hit that wall pretty hard, and the last thing you want on a power track like this is a flappy bonnet, as it will really impede your top speed. I have noticed as we have a Porsche in the back going sideways here, and a McLaren as well, looking like they had to avoid that Porsche, maybe a bit of contact there. That is the Porsche of the pink Porsche. Who drives the pink Porsche? I think that's the Porsche of Ivan.
Somebody.
Not Ivan Lee, Liam K. or Wesley. I think it was the Porsche of Liam K at the back there, going a bit sideways, but looking like they managed to recover. They have lost a couple positions, but that's okay. At least they did not meet the wall, as they now go side by side with the BMW of Ivan, and a bit of door banging here, and they end up on the sand a bit. That's not where you want to be on this track. The sand will slow you down massively, but that's just hard racing, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I see. Yeah, bit of Rubbins racing, mate. She's all good as long as you don't do something silly and punt your sidekick off the track. And yeah, I just find it hard racing.
Yeah, hard racing. The only problem is going door to door like this on ACC, you better hope you're not gonna get too lost, because we've seen some strange things happen over here, but they got away with it pretty cleanly. As we get a few cars there going off track. Don't want to be doing that, as it will most likely give you a track limit.
Yeah, that looked like Glory Babby taking the real wide line.
I love cars at the back actually going way wide off track, so it's looking like there's pretty intense battles going on at the back here. That's one thing I love about Red Bull Ring. It's high speed, and it's just, I've noticed this track does bring out some pretty intense battles. Everyone's fighting for position, and exit speed is so crucial over here to stay ahead. So it's always interesting to see what happens when cars do end up going side by side over here. But it's been hard battles, but I want to say clean, but there's been cars going off track. But going off track is better than hitting your fellow competitors and ending up ruining the race for the both of you. So yeah, this is very exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, you know, 2 super sprint races, 30 minutes, you try and push as hard as you can to get as far up as you can. And you know, sometimes some people make the least best decisions, and you haven't got that time to sit back and, you know, just be patient for a little bit and take your time. And he's losing in this, I'll give it a go next lap and see if he's right. And then, you know, you wait for a little bit longer. Okay, he's gone wide, that's my opportunity. And yeah, you sort of try and push as hard as you can, and sometimes, you know yourself, Gobby, you just push that a little bit too hard, and then yeah, she's all over Red Rover.
Exactly, that's exactly it. As we now have a GTR battles between Aaron Lee and Luke Johnson. Closely following behind is the Audi of Saxon Hayes. Looks like Saxon has lost 1 position since the race start in that Audi. It does go a bit wide there. Looking like he's pushing very hard to keep up with these GTRs, but so far the top 5 is just the type of car you really want to be driving around the Red Bull Ring. So perhaps the BOP, although on tracks like this it's much harder to bop the cars, at the same time it's also all very talented drivers. So I think it's a mix of BOP and just what this track naturally is like, and just very talented drivers at the front in general, which is why we're seeing 4 GTRs in the top 5 and a Mustang basically in a GTR sandwich. But we'll see what happens.
Did you mention Bop? Not this early on. You didn't mention Bop this early on, did you?
A little bit, but I did mention that I think on a track like this, it does not affect the car as much as it does on a tracks that has a lot of low-speed corners. So I will say that.
That was a nice redaction.
As we now have Aaron Lee and Luke Johnson now going side by side, looking like Luke's now in the inside, Aaron Lee will be on the outside. Let's see what they can manage around turn 4 over here as they go side by side. It's very tight here. It's looking like Aaron Lee did manage to get slightly ahead of Luke Johnson, as we don't know what's going on anymore, as Aaron Lee now is stationary, so it looks like they got into some kind of contact with Luke Johnson, but they're not finding they get going again, so that was a bit weird.
I was just about to say, car park there, sir.
Perhaps they're trying to hold the brakes. They were expecting their car to spin, but the car did not end up spinning, or maybe they shut off their engine. Who knows, but usually when your car's pointing the correct direction, you just keep going. But unsure with that one, but it has cost Aaron Lee dearly, as he's now back down to P17. The polar opposite of Glory Babby. Glory Babby started in last position, and they're already back up to P14. So Glory Babby on a charge, and now Aaron Lee themselves are going to have to go on a charge, as they're now looking to get past the Ford of Ashley Vediger. Down the inside at turn 1 is always scary, but looking like they managed to stick it through and gets ahead of the number 175 of Ashley Vediger.
That was a nice pass there, actually. Just about a textbook pass into T1.
That was a very clean very clean pass from Aaron Lee, as we now have a replay of that incident between Aaron Lee and Luke Johnson. So yeah, I'm wondering what happened here, and it's looking like Aaron Lee did try to close the door slightly on Luke Johnson, and yeah, look, they're full on throttle, so their engine did shut off, so they had to stop the car and restart their engine. So that's exactly what I was saying, that their engine basically shut off, as we saw they tried to get back on the gas. Car wouldn't move. It's like, oh wait, my engine shut off. But anyways, Aaron Lee now back up to P16. Tough road ahead, as he only has 21 minutes to get up in the top 10 unless he wants to qualify all over again.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward moment. I got to admit, I feel for him being stuck in the middle of the track going, why's my car not going?
I've never had a moment like this myself. I know my mate Igor has had an issue at Spa once that Eau Rouge. He accidentally shut off his engine and he had to go stationary at the bottom of Eau Rouge. So it's always interesting when that happens. The thing I don't understand is why you can't start your car while it's moving. But that's just ACC, as we're now looking at Dylan McDowell really putting the pressure on Saxon Hayes now. Maybe going to look for the pass, as Saxon does have to go defensive now against the Red Bull Porsche of McDowell. So far, McDowell doesn't have the overlap. Now, the Porsche does accelerate very well. It does suffer a bit in the top end.
Stops pretty good too, actually. The brakes are, the brakes are pretty good on the Porsche.
Oh, they're fantastic on the Porsche. I've driven it at the start of the season, and it's a fantastic car. It's a bit hard to drive, and I thought it was good on tires. Saxon Hayes does end up in the center, and that's going to compromise his exit speed over here. Now Dylan McDowell going side by side with Saxon Hayes into turn 9. That's a very scary corner to go side by side, as it is very high speed, but he does manage to get to make the pass stick, as Saxon does go a bit wide here. But that's exactly what McDowell needed to get past the Audi. Just a slight mistake from Saxon, and it ended up with him on the sand. And when you have two wheels on the sand, you end up losing a lot of speed over here, I've noticed.
Yeah, you could you could see that he was just going to wait that little bit longer and bide his time. And unfortunately, Saxon went wide and met that sand, which I'm sure a lot of us already have. And he got the opportunity that knocked to him, and he opened the door and went, "Here you go," and walked straight through it.
That was, even then, though, even though he had the door open up for him, that was still a very ballsy passer on turn 9. It's for me at least, it's probably the scariest corner on this track is turn 9 and turn 10. It's just very high speed, as we have Glory Vavi and Ivan Lee now going side by side, going back.
Just got to remember that Glory Babby was the back of the grid. Like, he was looking at the whole field in front of him, and he's currently in P13. How good of an effort is that? That is awesome from Glory Babby.
Absolutely flying out there. He now has the asset of Michael Clark in P12. We've talked about Michael Clark last race, and he's extremely quick. And at first I thought maybe it was a mix of the wet and the Aston loving wet tracks, obviously, but he's still in P12 as an AM badge, so he's fantastic effort from Michael Clark, and perhaps looking at a promotion for future events. Obviously, there's only one more race after this, so I don't think he will get promoted this season. But I think next season, if he does join the sprints again, he's going to be given a nice, beautiful Pro-Am badge. Next to his car is Glory Babby. Does manage to get around him, and that puts him in P12. He now only has 2 more places to get into the top 10, and getting that reverse pole position.
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch many of these races. Clark's doing an absolutely fantastic job. Currently sitting in P13. That is a solid effort from an AM driver, I reckon.
I definitely agree, and he's had. I'm not sure if you've seen the Laguna Seca race, but he actually ended up getting spun. I think was lap 1. So he was at the back of the field, and he managed to get back up to, I think, was something like P12 or something. But he's been driving that car fantastically, completely on the league of his own when it comes to the AM badge. Another driver that's in the mix is Ben Winton in P7 as a Pro-Am. He's in the mix with the Silvers and the Pros here. So Ben as well doing extremely well to stay in that P7 position in the Ferrari. And it's looking like they're actually putting pressure on Saxon Hayes now. So let's see what happens between these two.
That's a solid effort in itself. And then, to be top 10 in the Pro-Am, he's got to get a promotion along with Clark. It's got to happen next season.
Also rocking the 72, represent Ben Winton. It's a good number. I definitely agree with this number. So I think a number has a part to do with it. There's a bit of me in that car now.
Oh no! So now we know who your favorite car is.
I wouldn't say favorite car, but definitely favorite number.
Well, car number. You know what I mean, Gobby.
I mean, I do love the Ferrari. I do want to get back into it eventually, as he does get a bit slidey here, but manages to keep it on all 4 wheels. But I love the Ferrari. It was the first ever car I've driven in OOR until I moved to the Mustang, thanks to Gormley. But Ferrari does have a special place in my heart. But Ben Winton, although he did have a bit of a slide there, he's still hunting down Saxon Hayes, as the stream is paused for me. And now it's back. He's still 0.7 behind Saxon Hayes, so he's going to try and hunt out the Ferrari. And let's see if he can make a move on Saxon, as behind, looking like Jaden Rondinella is holding off Benjamin Hignett. Jaden started in P10 and he's now P8, so he's slowly going up the field in a beautiful Fruit Bowl liveried Nissan GTR.
Just trying to look down the field for some battles, and that battle down the back of the field is actually still going pretty hard. Like, you've got, I can't pronounce his name, I'm not going to try, number 26 in the Beamer. He's 3 seconds behind Vinegar, and then 0.8 to Perkins, 0.4 to Murphy, 0.6 to Adniaki. Still a bit spicy down the back there, Gobby.
Yeah, it's looking like we've got a bit of a train going on with them, as the guy behind the leading driver is, as we have Benjamin Higgin now going for a move down the inside of Jaden Rondinella. He will get the position, but let's see if Jaden manages to strike back onto the Ferrari with the Nissan power, and it's looking like he's not going to be able to do it on turn 1 as Jaden decides to move to the outside to set up for the corner, but he should get a better exit here. And if you do end up getting a good exit with the GTR, it ends up flying, and he does get a much better exit. And they're now side by side once more into turn 3, and in fact he does get ahead of the Ferrari way before he gets to turn 3. He gets around him around turn 2, because yes, that is turn 2, and now the Ferrari of Brian Kong also getting involved in that battle. So now we have a 3-way battle for P8. Things are getting a bit spicy here.
Yeah, did I just see a little bit of a tappity tap tap on Jaden Rondinella's car from Ben Hignett? Oh, he's certainly pushing the issue, isn't he?
I mean, in fact, I think Brian Kong does manage to get around Ben Hignett, so that little battle with the GTR ends up costing Ben Hignett more than he could chew. Or yeah, Brian Kong is now in P9 and Ben Hignett will be in P10. And he has to be careful now, because now he has the McLaren of Glory Babby right on his rear bumper, and he really does not want to drop any more positions from here, or else he will have to start P11 and he will not benefit from the reverse grid. So now Ben Hignett has to focus on Glory Babby. Glory Babby being on a charge from last position is hungry for that P10. I don't think he wants to do qualifying again. I think he'd be more than happy to at least get into the reverse grid, and that's going to be his goal here, as now Brian Kong looking down the inside of the GTR. Brian Kong himself also being on a charge, trying to get as high up as possible, as we now have a 4-car train. GTR, Ferrari, McLaren looking for glory here, as they go 3 wide into turn 3, but Ben Hignett decides the better of it. And in fact, Glory Babby getting 2 positions right around the outside, getting 2 positions on the Ferrari. So now Glory Babby will get a P9. So that's a fantastic effort from the McLaren driver.
I just saw in chat that somebody said Lucas is in another postcode. If Glory Babby was up near Lucas at the start, I'm pretty sure Glory Babby would be in another postcode as well. He is absolutely hauling.
I definitely agree. They were flying at Laguna Seca. I think Glory Babby could have given Lucas a bit of a challenge here. But definitely, we have a Porsche getting involved. Yeah, the Porsche of Wesley. Yeah, where are all these cars coming from? I think this battle was getting excited. At first I saw a 2-car battle, then it became a 3-car battle, then a 4-car battle. Now we've got a 5-car battle, and we might even get the Aston of Michael Clark, and the BMW of Ivan Lee might even start getting involved here, as we have 10.5 minutes left to this race. It's just getting spicier and spicier every lap.
Oh, hold on to your steak and cheese, mate. She's all go.
This is exactly what we like to see. This battling, however, has left a pretty big gap between Jaden Rondinella and Ben Winton, but I don't think these guys care so much. I think they're really having the time of their life here. A proper 5-car battle, as we usually only see battles like this with GT4s. You don't really see them as often with GT3s, so these guys really on, I would say, an equal playing field skill-wise, as now the Porsche of Wesley Lau really starting to show his front bumper to Benjamin Hignett over here. We'll see what happens between these drivers. This is exciting stuff.
They've all sort of calmed down in the last couple of minutes, but it just takes one slight slip and just a little bit of footwork on the sand, and oh, should be spicing up again.
It's looking like we've got a interesting battle here. We've got an interesting battle going on at the back as well, like you mentioned earlier. So it's looking like these drivers got their little trains going on. We've got a couple of cars that are a bit lonely on track. The 175 of Ashley Vediger just in a weird little zone where they don't really have anyone near them. They're right in between the 777 of Liam Kay and the 33 of Perkins. So they're perhaps feeling a bit lonely. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they don't want to get involved in a battle here. They just want to relax a bit. But I highly doubt that. I think these drivers do want to race. We don't come for a championship just to drive alone. If we wanted to drive alone, we could be hot lapping. So I'm sure they do want some battles as well.
Sometimes it's nice just to be out there and just keeping an eye on what's happening around you and just cruising through. I mean, you know, he's just cruising around. Nice little gap in front of him. Nice little gap behind it. I mean, I could say the same thing about Lucas, but Lucas things.
Yeah, just Lucas things. It lies up ahead in distance. It was more fun when he was at Laguna Seca and he had to actually fight for the field. But looking like he decided to start at the front here as this battle really spicing up. Now Glory Babby looking for a pass onto Jaden Rondinella, and they're really showing the front bumper to the GTR. Please so fast here, it's scary over here, and they keep it relatively clean. They're both still on track, and now they go around the final quarter. It's very tight, and now the Ferraris are getting involved in this, and there's the tiniest gap here for Brian Kong. Brian Kong looking for the tiniest gap with his Ferrari that his Ferrari is gonna fit in, and now it's 3 wide into turn 1. It's scary stuff. But so far everyone's still on track. These drivers really respecting each other as much as they can while racing hard, and it's gonna go 3 wide again into turn 3, perhaps 4 wide as Benjamin Hignett does show his front bumper as well. Now Benjamin Hignett threatening. Then Brian Kong does slide a bit and does end up losing the position to the Porsche of Yao. And now that's given the opportunity of the cars behind to get up to the rear bumpers, as we have Michael Clark now getting involved. And that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 car battle going on now, and that's looking like the GTR of Aaron Lee has managed to fight back up the field. As we have Babby going around the outside of Jaden running and that's just GTR things right there.
They used to being sideways, aren't they? Now that's unfortunate for Loopty.
That was, I don't want to say this, but it was prone to happen with how hard these guys were racing, having that many cars fighting for position. Unfortunately, it ended up costing the most for Jaden Rondinella, as they are now down into P16. But the battle is not over yet. There's still 6 more cars here, as Glory Babby now starting to build a gap onto Benjamin Hignett. Benjamin Hignett now back up to P9, and Wesley Yao will be in P10. But Wesley Yao not in the clear yet. We've got the Nissan of Aaron Lee that really wants to get back into this top 10. So breathe a bit. We gotta breathe. We can relax a bit. The intensity's gone a bit down now from what's just happened. But let's see. There's still 5.5 minutes to go.
I was just thinking that. Okay, you can have a breath now, Gobby. Just take a chill and just take a couple of breaths. We're all good, mate. We haven't had too big of an incident. Just Loopty doing, you know, GDR things basically. Yeah, they're used to being sideways, aren't they?
Yeah, but now, as I say, take a breather. Now the Benjamin Hignett and Wesley Yao do I have a bit of contact with Yao looking around the outside, but they touched a bit there, and now it's again. It just doesn't have to even help me here. Help me.
Oh, as we get a replay from Loopty, and you got a little bit of a touch. Ooh, and then a little bit of a touch, and then GDR things. Do I dare say it and say that could be a little smack stick coming out for somebody?
I think it could be a little penalty going ahead for, I'm not sure if that was Hignett or who was it? Brian Kong, because their liveries are very, very similar. They're not the same, but it was a bit of both, but one of them really was a split-second decision. But Wesley Yao now in P10, but I think, yeah, Aaron Lee has managed to get around Wesley Yao, so that puts Aaron Lee back up into the top 10 and on provisional pole for race 2 with 4 minutes to go over here. And now we have Brian Kong giving Wesley Yao a bit of trouble. And is that another pink Porsche in the background? The Porsche of Liam K. So it looks like K has managed to also catch up to this group. So it's just getting bigger and bigger. But now as the gaps are getting a bit bigger, we can see in the distance Glory Babby just flying away. So they can breathe a bit now. They're back in the top 10, so that puts them into the reverse grid at least, as Aaron Lee now getting a bit of trouble from, I think that's the Ferrari of Hignett, or Aaron Lee trying to get around Hignett, should I say. But Hignett just managing to hold on to the position for now. They're back to being clumped up together. Now this is just a recipe for disaster, but there's only 3 minutes to go. I'm just expecting these guys to start pushing even more now.
God, can they push any more than what they already are? This is some intense battling.
And I think they started battling for a while. But it looks like that Porsche did end up going a bit sideways there, but they do manage to keep it on track. But that will compromise their exit, and now Brian Kong looking to get around Wesley Yao as they again go side by side into turn 3. But Brian Kong does manage to get the pass done way before getting into the corner. So Brian Kong now in P11, not good enough so far to get into the top 10. But let's see what happens now. Wesley Yao is going to try and it looks down the inside, and Benjamin Hignett does get a 10-second penalty for that tap on Jaden Rondinella. So that does put Brian Kong on provisional pole if he manages to hold his position and stay within 10 seconds of Benjamin Hignett, which is looking like he will manage to do, as there's only just under 2 minutes left of racing. So, did I see Wesley Yao? Did I see Brian Kong? No, Brian Kong will get provisional pole for this race if they just manage to stay within that gap to Benjamin Hignett.
I'm not sure who you said. I was just trying to do marshy quick maths in my head as to where that would put Hignett, and I don't want to say it. I'm not going to be that guy to say those bad things about Ben.
He's gonna lose quite a few positions here at the very least. He might even go behind Ashley Vettiger, so he might end up being in P17 at the end of this race. But it's not the end of the world. It's only race 1. He can still quali get into P11, hopefully, by race 2. But there's still racing going on here. Lucas will cross the line once more, so this is not the final lap. Yes, there will be one more lap after this, as we have Lucas Keys now going around the final corner onto the start-finish straight, as he will start crossing the finish line right about now, and there's still 30 seconds of racing to go, and that will be the final lap for Lucas Keys. And as you see, that battle pack, that mid pack, it's been intense this entire race, honestly.
It's been more intense than I actually anticipated. I thought it might have been, you get off the first couple of laps and then you settle into a groove, and everybody's doing their pushing and throwing, and I sort of expected just the passes here and there. I didn't expect to have like a 6 or 7 train coming down the front straight at one point. I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card.
I think that's to do with the nature of this track being just mostly high speed, so the car behind can just stay within the slipstream. There's not very many opportunities to really build a gap unless someone does a mistake. Obviously, you can build a gap, but I find that on a track like this, it's much harder to build a gap than on a track that has slower corners. But we'll see. Honestly, Aaron Lee doesn't even have to push Benjamin Hignett that hard. He does have that position clear for him, but that doesn't mean he's not gonna try and go as far up as possible. And
to shoot some of that GDR power.
As Lucas Keys does end up crossing the finish line now and has finished the race. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I reckon these guys are gonna relax a bit. There's really no point trying to risk a move on the very last lap here. It could end up in disaster. So I reckon these guys are gonna stay where they are, as Glory Babby currently in P8 from last position. So he went from last to 8th. That is a very solid effort from Glory Babby, as Benjamin Higgett now crosses the line and will unfortunately lose that P9. We'll give P9 to Lee, and Brian Kong should get pole position for next race. So wow, race 1, very, very intense here at the Red Bull Ring. But stick around, as there is one more race. In fact, this race is still going on at the back. There's still a train of cars crossing the line now. As Hayden Marsh does cross the line, and there's still Harry Smiles and the 47 of Baker yet to cross the line. As the race is now officially over.
That was intense, to say the least. That was intense, yeah.
I was expecting some trains to develop on Red Bull Ring as it tends to happen here, but I was not expecting a 6-7 car battle for position. That was very intense. But stick around, as there is one more race to go, as we now have a qualifying 2 for P11 down. So these guys will go back out for quali. Our top 10 will stay in the pits. They get to relax a bit. You know, this is what I like about super sprints. If you do end up being in the top 10, you get a bit of a breather in the 10 minutes. You know, you can stretch a bit. You don't have to go back out for qualifying.
I wouldn't be able to tell you, mate. I've never made it up to the top 10, especially in because this used to be my old split. So, you know, I had the likes of Lucas, Pip in here, and yeah, I was always at the back, unfortunately. But you know, you can still make some gains in qualified 2, and you know, come up the field a little bit. You've still got a chance.
You can still get P11. It's still an important qualifying session for drivers such as, let's say, Hignett, who unfortunately got a 10-second penalty for that little contact with Lupti. I know a driver that's not going to be so happy with this is Lupti himself. He was in a good position until that happened, and it was of no fault of his own. So, unfortunate, but the best he can do is just go back out for qualifying and hope race 2 goes better.
Yeah, if it was me, I would have been saying some choice words. And yeah, it was unfortunate for Lupti, but like you say, still got another race. Anything could happen.
Now, I'm excited for this one, because especially with reverse grid and Lucas starting in P10, I wonder how he's going to manage getting through traffic on this track. As we've said multiple times, power track, it's very high speed, and it's not like the drivers behind Lucas are slow. They are not slow, and they're going to be much harder to pass than, let's say, a much slower driver, obviously, but it's gonna have the likes of Glory Babby in front of him, and we've seen Glory Babby as pace, as he did start from the very back, and is now in, I think, provisional P3, if I'm correct. The provisional yeah, I think it's provisional P3. I think he did end up finishing P8, so yes, it will be provisional P3 for Glory Babby. So Lucas will have a bit of work ahead of him to try and get through.
Yeah, my memory's shot time of the day. I can't remember where he would have finished. So yeah, you know, you just put your best foot forward, hope for the best, give it absolute death on your qualifying lap. You got 10 minutes, so you know it's still anything could happen in quali. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. As Lupti does a 1:28.4, that's not bad. Good size, mate.
I think he's really gonna start pushing. He really wants that to be as far up as possible, especially with the GTR. If he can get a good start with GTR, he can jump a few positions quite easily by turn 1. I say that, but actually, now that I think about it, all the cars in front of P11 are gonna be GTRs anyways. So we'll see as Benjamin Higgins now gets the fastest lap for this quali session, 1:28.2.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon the GDR is going to take pole for the reverse top 10? I mean, there's not an awful lot right now, but we do have Loopy in the GDR. There is a Porsche there, and Ben's in the Ferrari.
Yeah, we have Loopy in the GTR, but we have Benjamin Hignett in the Ferrari as well. And we saw that Benjamin Hignett did have pace, especially the Ferrari being such a grippy car. I always used to make a joke that out of if Formula 1 was a GT3 car, it'd be the Ferrari. It's just how grippy that car feels. Obviously, it's not a Formula 1 car, but you get what I mean. It's extremely grippy. You can be on power really early. It's got a very odd driving style, and in fact, it's got a weird. The driving style does not fit with any other car really that I've found, at least. The way you drive the Ferrari.
Yeah, you're right. Like my teammates have said to me, namely Sam O'Brien, who's gone a little bit crooked in chat, anybody can drive the Ferrari, but it's extracting everything out of the Ferrari that's not the optimal line in the last corner there, mate. Yeah, anybody can drive the Ferrari. It's extracting everything out of the Ferrari that actually takes a bit of skill, and I'm not going to lie to you, Gobby, I do not have that skill. I barely have any skill.
What I used to do, I used to actually study the way Taufik was driving the Ferrari. He's a pure Ferrari enjoyer. And when I moved to sprints, he actually helped me a couple of times to how to drive that car, how to extract that top pace out of it. So, because exactly like you said, it's an easy car to drive, but it's a extremely difficult car to extract that last 5% out of.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I probably could barely get to that 95%, but yeah, it definitely takes something as Luke D takes pole with a 1:28.2. Not bad.
A very, very good time from Jaden Rondinella. Only just, let's see if Benjamin Hignett can reply to that, as so far, not as he's currently down, but he does gain a bit of time for the final corners. Unfortunately, not enough to get pole position for now, but he does have a couple more laps to do it. So we will see. I saw Loopy was green on the Delta again, so maybe he can even stretch his gap, but it's barely a green Delta. It's 0.02. He's pretty much equal on his last lap so far. We'll see, as he does lose a bit on entry here, but ends up gaining again on the exit. In fact, it's exactly where he was last lap. So we'll see. He gained a lot of time here, so it's looking like it wasn't optimal around turn 6 and turn 7 last time around, as he does gain 2 tenths, and we might even see a 27 from Jaden Rondinella, unless I've spoken too early. Apologies, Jaden, but he's still going to, if he manages to keep it on the black stuff, he's still going to gain, and that's exactly what he needs to just hold that pole position. But he does end up losing a bit of time on the second last corner here, but does gain on the final corner, and that's going to be enough to be 1/10 up, and that's enough for 1:28.125, increasing just that gap. And as we have Benjamin Hignett now 0.35 up, and now if he manages to take that lap, he's going to be in the 27s. Loses a bit here, but it's going to be enough to jump Loopy for P11 here, and it's going to be a 127.985 for Benjamin Hignett. That's exactly not what Loopy wanted, but it's not the end of the world. He's still P12, as Wesley Yao does end up actually jumping Loopy. Now Wesley Yao will get with a 128.1 we'll get I want to say P2, but it's P12. P12, and Lufty now is wondering if he has a reply to these times that these drivers are now setting.
I didn't actually take much notice of Wesley out just then, and all of a sudden, there he is.
Exactly.
G'day. Yeah, jumped into P2.
Like surprise Porsche, but is there not? We're going to see a very close qualifying battle going on here, as Lufty is green again, and he did lose time on turn 9 over here. This is where he lost time last lap, so if he does gain, which he does end up gaining a bit here, just has to keep it on track and pushing the limits here, but he's still slightly up. But I wonder if that's gonna be enough. It might be enough, and it is enough to get P2 and with a 128.092. So we've got a battle for P12 here between Jaden Rondinella and Wesley Yao, as Hignet again gains a lot of time here. He's now once again 3/10 up in his time, so he's going to build that gap even more. I think he's got P11 secured with 127.687.
As Wesley Al just parks it up and goes, oh, I'm happy with a P3. Let's take a break for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, he's happy, looking like Jaden's still pushing. I think he wants that P11, and he can still get it. Again, he gains a lot of time here, but he does end up touching the center bit, and unfortunately that's going to compromise his exit. And as we see the delta just going down, and he's 0.2 down, so he's unfortunately not going to be able to get P11 unless there's some kind of miracle around the final 2 corners and he gains 4/10 somehow. As we're back with Liam K, and he's gone off the track, so that's qualifying over for Liam K. As now with Harry Smile, so far his best lap at 128.852. He does find a bit of time here. He might be able to jump a couple of cars here. In fact, if you look at P11 all the way down to P7, these guys are actually under a 10th away from each other, so if he does manage to stay green here, he could jump at least 3 positions, Harry Smiles. So let's see what he has under the tank with that BMW.
He lost a little bit of time back there, but he's holding it. Let's see what he's like into the second to last, and because a lot of people seem to be gaining time right here, really. Yeah, okay. I shouldn't shut up.
Thank you, Marshy. I appreciate that. I thought we were going to see Harry Smiles here jumping 3 positions up to P7, but you've absolutely ruined it for him. I hope you're happy.
Yeah, look, I'd like to thank my mum and dad. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Yeah, I'm pretty good at commentators' curses. Apologise. Yeah, I highly apologise.
And as you'll excuse me, I don't know why there's always people knocking at my door when I'm commentating, so I'll be right back.
You're a wanted man. We get used to Gobby just up and leaving us as we sort of head into the last race. We've still got just under 2.5 minutes to go, and everybody will be setting their last pit strats and fuel tanks and levels and things like that, and just taking a bit of a breather before we see absolute, I don't know, do we say carnage into T1, or hopefully it's not carnage, hopefully it's nice clean racing, and yeah, we see some awesome battles like we did in race 1. And I just see that Glenn has also put in the OOR broadcast bingo. So if you're playing along, I'm going to try and absolutely nail all of those. So I want to see what happens when we win. If Glenn, if you're around, you want to jump in, just in case somebody wins and calls out bingo. I mean, what do we get? I'm interested to see.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
It's just a bit of fun. If you get a bingo, hit up the YouTube app and shout it in there, and you'll win absolutely nothing except the admiration of all your fellow viewers. I'm currently seeing that there are some players, and some of them are already hitting up things like the commentator's curse, which we've had, and yeah.
I
So
wouldn't
just
do such thing.
give it a crack. There's one in there regarding that can come up on a card regarding someone who's not racing tonight. It's regarding to Jamie Conboy gets a penalty from his pit stop along those lines, which I just want to state that it wasn't that one, but we all know that that's always almost a given when JC the race. We've not witnessed any murders, which was another one, and another one in there is it's one thing to catch, another thing to pass, which is always a commentator's favourite.
I can't say I've used that one, but I'm actually going to try and chuck that in there somewhere, just for shits and gigs.
I think you already
bingo.
I think you already gave us a rubbings racing earlier tonight. I'm pretty sure, Marsha, you gave us one of those. And
I did too, actually, yes.
And there's a leave it to the stewards one. But yeah, there's a few bits and pieces, and just a bit of fun.
Yeah, just something else to chuck in there, as if we haven't got enough fun in these super sprint races.
Exactly, plenty going on.
There is. Hey, thanks for your little explanation, Edling. That's much appreciated.
Did we just see the GTR for Jaden Rondinella lose connection to the server?
No. Yeah, I'm
think
pretty
we
sure I've seen
did.
it in the chat. Is he knocking on your door, or?
Yeah, so I think he forgot to press drive. That's a heartbreak for Jaden Rondinella. It went from bad to worse as he now has to do a pit lane start, and perhaps not paying attention as he was typing in the chat a bit and maybe forgot to press drive. That is unfortunate for GTR. He's not the only one. We have David Baker behind him as well, like another driver that forgot to press drive. But that's not what these drivers want, as we have another car going around turn one very, very slowly. Who is that? That's the number 33. Unsure.
I haven't got a list. There we go. It's Lee Perkins. Something's not right there.
Something is wrong with Perkins' car. I'm wondering if we're gonna get some kind of delayed start, unless so.
Well, he's trying to move, but
It's looking like he might have a throttle issue. If
it looks like a hardware problem.
That is unfortunate.
Hey, Gobby, I'm going to step back and let you do this one. You did such a great job at the last race. I don't want to ruin your role.
You're not ruining my role. I'd like to. If you want to do the start, if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. It's fine. As we have Brian Kong currently leading our drivers through the start-finish straight, and we're gonna get a beautiful race start initialized soon. As we are green for race 2 of the Octane Online Racing Championship round 9 at the Red Bull Ring, and it's looking like Glory Babby already looking down the inside of Brian Kong. Brian Kong having to go a bit wide, but they managed to hold the position, and it's looking like in the background again a very, very clean start, as we have a couple of cars now exiting pit lane. That'd be Jaden Rondinella and I forgot the other driver's name, as we're now going through turn 3 and going 3 wide, 4 wide back there. A bit of contact with that McLaren, but so far every car's pointing the correct direction, as we have Aaron Lee now looking around Benjamin Winton, as we have a bit of contact. Benjamin Winton, he missed his braking point, has gone into the sand. unfortunately, however, has managed to stay off the walls. We have 2 more cars getting into contact. That looks like the 777 of Liam K facing the wrong direction. I think another car was definitely involved with that. I did see it. I just not sure which car it was. Perhaps it was Clark, but a bit of chaos for race 2 over here.
Oh, I was hoping for good things. I wasn't hoping for that. But we digress. We're still going. We're into it. It doesn't look like anybody's RT cheats, so that's a positive, Gobby. That's got to be a positive.
It is a positive. It's always a positive when there's no safety cars after lap 1 or nobody's gone back to garage. It's looking like... Who's that going around turn 1? That's the 33. I think that's the same car we saw last time. They decided to join back in the server, perhaps. Yeah, so it is Perkins, and they've come back. But unfortunately, they're almost a full lap down, so they've got the work cut out for them, and they might be facing a very lonely race there for the number 33 BMW, as we're now back with Aaron Lee and Benjamin. Is that Benjamin Hickton? No, that's Benjamin Hickton and Stephen Ty. Looking like for a little battle, and closely followed by Joshua Vediger. And in P9 now we have Lucas Keys. We've talked about Lucas before since he won last race. He started in P10, and now he's gonna have a bit of work to get around these drivers in front of him. He's gonna want to get around as fast as he can, as Glory Babby most likely is going to fly out in the distance if he doesn't get around these guys quick.
I want to say it might be a challenge for Lucas, but I'm pretty sure I said it in the last stream that I commentated on. I watched Lucas blow up his engine in qualifying and then managed to take it back to the pits, start from the pits, and then come right up into P2 at Watkins Glen. So, look, it's going to be... Somebody's either going to make it hard for Lucas, or Lucas is just going to do Lucas things and right past everybody.
I reckon they're not going to make it easy for him, as we have Joshua Vediger going around the outside, losing as much track as possible to get on the inside, as we have a GTR spun around, and there's a bit of a traffic jam here, and Lucas is involved in that traffic jam, and they're all stuck there, and they're all losing multiple positions from that. That is not what I was expecting around turn 3. I wasn't expecting cars to be stopped because a car got spun around, and whoever got spun around did the correct thing and held their brakes. They did nothing wrong. It's just unfortunate that everyone wanted to take that line and ended up getting stuck behind them.
I'm going to quote Mullock, our Lord and Saviour. That's a car park. I'm going to leave out the profanities, but that's a car park.
That is indeed a car park, and that's put all these drivers further back down the field that they wanted to be, and more importantly, it's given the guys up front even more breathing room, as they were stationary for quite a while there.
Surely he must have a little bit of damage after that, because that would have hurt.
Oh, it definitely would have hurt. But now we've got Murphy and Ivan Lee, two of the drivers that definitely benefited from that. That they're now P6 and P7 respectively. So these guys, the drivers that got involved in that incident are probably gonna be screaming, but it's a godsend for the likes of Ivan Lee, where it's basically 5 free positions just here and there.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of work done in that. Still picked up a few free spots as Lucas comes past Mr. Smiles, and is that Ben trying to push his way through as well? There's a cheeky little I'm coming through as well.
That is, in fact, Benjamin Hicknett. The Ferrari, however, not the best acceleration out of all the cars, so he does lose out a bit to Harry Smiles down the straight, but he does end up pushing down the inside and does end up getting around that BMW of Smiles, and now that Porsche of McDowell also looking for the position. Again, getting some very, very intense battles forming, and it's not 2-car battles, it's just multiple cars battling for one position. That's always exciting to see.
I dare say it's just about most of the field in one big train.
Got replay.
Oh.
Oh, and that's the 777 getting absolutely punted. We might see a couple invoices for the drivers involved in that. Michael Clark does get, a stop go 20. That's not what you want on a sprint race like this. And that's basically, dare I say, race pretty much over. There's more carnage up ahead.
What's
and
going on?
perhaps we might see a safety car from this. But it's looking like the race director has not called it yet, but we do have multiple cars spun around. So race 2 being a lot more hectic than race 1, as we can see. But so far, safety car has not been called, so it's looking like it was still somewhat clear enough for the drivers to keep racing. I think I just saw a car in the background again disappearing. It's looking like a few drivers with connection issues. Perhaps it's the Kunos servers, but we do not run a Kunos server. We run our own dedicated server. So, wondering what's going on here. But I think I'm pretty sure I did see a car in the background lose connection, as one of the commentators does say stewards need some drinks, and I agree with you on that one. I forgot who that was.
That's Aiden.
That's Aiden Squires, yeah. Thank you.
I gave you time. I let you go to see if you could get it.
I'm a bit forgetful myself, all right?
Hey, no, I mean, you're working with me, I'll work with you, brother. There seems to be some slight gaps opening up in the top end of the field. We've still got one. Did I just see a car in the fence in the pit injury? Yes, I did.
That's the number 4 of Michael Clark. So he did get a stop-go 20 for that incident, so that's a pretty substantial penalty. And like I said earlier, I think that's pretty much race over for Michael Clark, as he's pretty much taking a pit stop on a race where you don't need to stop. So he's... And it's looking like a 5-second penalty. Or who was that again? I was not reading properly. For dangerous driving, so wondering what happened.
Wonder
there.
if that came out of the little incident at turn 2. Golly. Oh, yeah.
Perhaps, but actually, Clark is starting to move, and if we see a start-finish straight, maybe Perkins is going to have a bit of a small friend to race with during this race, but it's looking like Nice past them as he's exiting pit lane, but we never know. I think Clark could still catch Perkins as we have another car getting spun around. So again, race 2, a lot more happening here compared to race 1, as we have the Ferrari of Victor getting a bit sideways there. Fortunately manages to keep it on track and not collect the GTR of Johnson.
Man, I'm so out of touch. I just looked at Ben Hignett, 23. I'm like, how did that? Oh, that's right, yeah.
As they're now 3 wide down the start. That's a photo right there. Going 3 wide into turn 1. Benjamin Hignett will get the inside, but with this, the switcheroo with Luke Johnson. And Luke Johnson just manages to get the better exit and stay ahead of Hignett. And in fact, Hignett is getting into a bit of trouble with a Porsche and another GTR. That GTR is absolutely flying. Did I say Luke Johnson earlier? That was Stephen Ty. Luke Johnson now is getting involved. Now Luke Johnson has the inside and another 3 wide corner. But again, now Benjamin Hignett might get the switcheroo on Luke Johnson, but good luck as he is doing it against a GTR. And as we can see, the GTR acceleration, just nothing can really match that car. So does manage to get the position from Hignett. Oh, that's very, very tight, and Hignett does end up in the sand. Now that gives the opportunity for that Porsche to get around, but Hignett will have the inside as they go side by side once again around turn 6. And now they're getting into turn 7, but Hignett does manage to hold on to the position.
Oh, no, I was going to say something and then I just worked out my mistake, so I'm going to keep quiet.
Again, race 2. In fact, I think race 2 has had a bit more action than race 1 so far. It's been 10 minutes, or 11 minutes almost now. as we have a drive-through penalty for Aaron Lee. Again, that's not the penalty you want in a super sprint. Unfortunately for Aaron Lee, so that's going to cost them a lot. Dare I say it's going to cost them the entire, well, not the entire field, but 90% of the field over here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's what happens, and you just got to take the smack stick from the stewards and just accept it and go, okay, yep.
Oh, we have Benjamin Hignet flashing the GTR ahead of him. I'm wondering why. Maybe I'm not sure if they're friends. There's a possibility that they're good friends and he's just flashing for fun. But I did see that Ferrari flash. As we do have a replay of another incident, and that Porsche just gets absolutely collected here. And another that's Hignet running into the side of Wesley Yao. And that's a GTR as well, spun around. So
pretty sure that was Stockton that tapped him there, and then just that was unfortunate.
See, Stockton gets some kind of another harsh penalty from the stewards here.
So we're going quite nail and tong back here. I was just wondering if we could see the leaders, because Glory Babby's just up and left and gone, see you later.
Yeah, so we definitely agree. So Glory Babby has gone and left and is now 2 seconds ahead of Brian Kong. Brian Kong pretty comfortably actually holding that P2, as he's now built a 5-second gap to Vediger. So it's a good position to be in for the silver driver here. It's going to be a good result for him if he just keeps it on track. As we see on the track map, that is a very, very big gap between the 999 and the 6. So if he just keeps it clean, maybe follow Babby's lines, could be in for a P2 here, as we're now looking at Harry Murphy in P6, and of course Lucas Keys has gone all the way back up to P4 already. So let's see what he can do against the 999 of Joshua Vediger in that GTR.
He's nearly got a 10-second gap to make up to Glory Babby, so I'm genuinely interested just to keep a slight eye on this.
Oh, me too. I agree with you on that one, but as fast as Lucas may be, I think Glory Babby has a good chance, because we've seen Glory Babby last race fight all the way back up to P8, and just keep in mind these are 30-minute races, so he went up to P8 and basically half the race distance that we normally do here at OR. So, well, I say normally, we always have a super sprint sometime during the season, but
I was just about to say, am I wrong in saying Loopy started from the pits and now he's in P11, 12, was somewhere around there? That's a massive effort from Loopy.
I definitely agree. That's a massive effort from Loopy, and he's almost back in P10. In fact, he's in a better position than he was in race 1, funnily enough. He now has the 959 of Steve Lewis to get around. Just put the pressure, just get good exits in the GTR. Should be able to get around that McLaren, but he does have to be careful, as we have got the BMW of Harry Smiles right behind him with that terrifying smiley face on the front bumper of that car. As much as I want to ignore it,
you can't, can you?
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I would not want to see that in my rear view mirror. Again, that's another bad habit that I have, at least. It's just racing in my mirror, and I should not be doing it. But I think Loopy will be able to keep him off for long enough to get around Steve Lewis. But Steve Lewis himself doing very well to hold off that GTR in that 959 McLaren. So Jaden does have a bit of work, as Harry Smiles gets a bit slidey there. That's not what you want to do. And as we can see now, the gap has substantially grown between these two, as they now go side by side. Steve Lewis covering the inside. Jaden will have to go around the outside as they go again side by side. Jaden has to go a bit wide, but Steve Lewis just gives him just enough racing room here to stay on track, but at the same time hold his position.
I've got to say it, Glenn. I know you can hear me. It's one thing to catch, but it's another thing to pass. Mark it down on your cards.
Oh, Steve Lewis gets a bit sideways there, and that's just what Jaden Rondinella needed to get around that McLaren, and now the McLaren's now in trouble from that BMW of smiles, so that will give Jaden Rondinella a bit of breathing room as Smiles does end up being on the sand, and we will see, going on the sand is not optimal.
I generally hear that's an esports line.
What, the sand?
Hey, what's going on here? Oh, that is a car park. Yeah, I was right. That is definitely a car park.
That's cost Johnson basically the entire field. But then now Johnson now is in P19, given time P17, and apparently P20 after serving that drive-through penalty. As we're now back with Jaden Rondinella now in P10, so he's back in the top 10. I know he's gonna be happy with fighting back to the top 10, but he's probably gonna be hating himself as he knows he could have done better if he started on the grid. But I digress. He started from pit lane. He's still gonna be happy, I reckon, Jaden Rondinella.
I was just about to say, yeah, look, you'd be pretty upset to miss hitting the drive button and starting from the pits, but to come back to be P10, I wouldn't be upset at that at all.
Yeah, I dare say, I don't want to say it's a bit, but a bit of luck was involved with all the incidents that happened in front of him. But at the same time, the better you drive, the more lucky you get.
Listen to it. That should have been on the bingo card, Glenn. You should have at least noted that one down. That's a thing of beauty, Golby. I'm proud of you for that.
As much as I want to say I came up with that, unfortunately for you, I did not. It's actually, if anybody watches motocross and know Ricky Carmichael, that's one of his quotes.
The GOAT. Oh,
the GOAT of motocross, so that's from him. So, yeah, it's definitely a good quote. You can't just say someone's always lucky. Sometimes not sometimes, you gotta be good to take advantage of that luck, as we have Lucas Keys now on the rear bumper of Joshua Vettiger, and let's see what happens there between these two. Vettiger does go a bit wide, but just manages to hold off Lucas Keys, and Lucas is really gonna want to get around that Ford, but I know Vettiger himself is not going to make it easy for him. He's a very talented driver, and he's driving a Ford. So let's see what happens there between these two.
Not biased at all towards the Ford, are you, Golby? He's probably going to make that the widest Mustang on the Red Bull ring, just to try and hold Lucas at bay, but we sort of know what's going to happen. Lucas, although that was a bit squirrely out of Lucas. The power must be pretty close, or is the Mustang more top end? Because I know the GDR, you can absolutely just lean into it and it absolutely goes like snot. But yeah, would you say the Mustang's more top end, Golby?
I agree with that. It's definitely more top end, and that's probably to do with the weird gearing ratio it has. Vettiger at most gets maybe to fifth gear. Right about here, he might be able to get into fifth gear. But I found that staying in fourth works as well. It's got a very, very odd gearing for the tracks here. Even on the Nordschleife, you don't even get to sixth down the Dottinger Straight. Well, you can, but it's actually faster to stay in fifth. Fun fact. That's just interesting quirks of the Mustang. Same for Bathurst. You can go into sixth on Conrad, but a lot of the times it's just faster to stay in fifth. It's if you ever feel useless, just remember the Mustang has six gears.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I used the Mustang a little bit, and I got to admit, absolutely love it around Bathurst. It's made for that track, I reckon.
Definitely, it's its strongest track. But we're not on Bathurst, we're on the Red Bull Ring, and this is a strong track for the GTR as well. But as we can see, Lucas not really struggling to actually close the distance to Vediger here. Vediger doing a very good job as just keeping him behind, as Lucas does close the gap a bit, but as we can see at the top end, Lucas does get the slipstream here, does look around, well, the inside of turn 2, but he's going to be on the outside for turn 3, and now they're going side by side to turn 3. Now what Lucas needs to do is just get a good exit over here, and if he does get a good exit, he should be able to get around the Mustang, and he does, only just as, so that's the strength for the GTR right there. It's just its exit speed. If you're a quick driver and you get good exits and you're driving a GTR, there's not much the other cars can do against it.
Yeah, and let's face it, somebody with a skill issue like me probably spend more time sideways in the GTR, because yeah, we won't get into that.
And again, we have another battle train here going on towards the back end of the field. Now this is exactly what we're seeing in race 1. Multiple cars battling for position, as we now have the Porsche of Liam K going around the 72 of Winton. Now Winton looking like another one of those drivers that unfortunately suffered from incidents, as they're all the way back down to P18 now, as Liam K does manage to get around, wondering if they have any damage.
We've got a little bit of a choo-choo train going on here, don't we? Again.
You know, it's only one choo-choo train now. There was last race, there was a couple choo-choo trains. Now there's only one, and it's only 7 minutes to go. So we're not seeing the big battles that we had last race, but in a way, it could be for the better. These guys are really pushing hard, and they're with having 5 cars battling for one position, you're more prone to incidents.
Yeah, and especially in a super sprint, you're trying to, you know, do the best you can and get it up as high as you can, because you've only got 30 minutes as opposed to our normal 60-minute races. And yeah, is that Stephen Ty try? Oh, I thought he was going to dive up the inside just then.
Yeah, so that's Stephen Ty against
a little bit of PTSD coming back.
Hope not, but we have Thomas Fristock holding his position again in the no texture livery BMW that I've grown to love.
I was just about to say that.
It's very nostalgic, and he's done something right with that livery, and I just can't keep my eye off it in a good way this time, for once.
Oh, gotta be falling in love with the livery.
It's nostalgic, okay? My younger days playing Half-Life or Gary's Mod, it's very nostalgic. I love that livery, and it's honestly, I would dare to say, my favorite livery in this grid. As we have, again, Ben Winton now going again for the pass again, or Liam K going for the switcheroo once more, as Ben Winton does outbreak himself a tiny bit. Now he's in trouble from 2 GTRs, looking down the inside, as we do not see what happened at the back, but so far they have managed to keep it clean. He has lost a position to Aaron Lee, but manages to hold off Luke Johnson for now. So it's just getting from bad to worse for Winton, as he now is now in a GTR sandwich, and this is exactly not where you want to be in a Ferrari.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been my favourite place, to be honest, but yeah, that was unfortunate that he lost 2 places out of that one go. Yeah, unlucky.
Now he has to hold off the GTR of Luke Johnson. Luke Johnson, another. A lot of these pro drivers, like if you've noticed, the GTR drivers, except for Jaden Rondanella being the only silver driver driving the GTR, all the other GTRs are all pro drivers, so they're all properly quick drivers as well. They're exactly the kind of driver you don't want facing when they're driving a GTR, because they're the kind of driver that can really extract the maximum pace out of that car.
Actually, that's a good point. I didn't notice that all the GTRs besides Luke Diaz are all pros. Yeah, great shout. Good on you.
So it's a very good car being driven by very, very good drivers. So Winton not exactly in a good position here. But I digress. We've seen last race he was doing very well. He was, I think, P7 or so. So he can do it. He is quick himself. So we will see. the GTR now sniffing the rear bumper of the 777 of BMK, and dare I say, try to make a move around the outside, as now BMK is forced down the inside. But as we see, look at Winton here. He's using the slipstream of the Porsche and looking like he's actually going to get around that GTR. But that GTR, as we can see, even the Ferrari with the slipstream, that GTR is an absolute rocket of a race car. And unfortunately for the 777, he does lose out a position to Aaron Lee. So that just shows that that car is just, especially on the acceleration, it's just an absolute rocket driven by quick drivers. Now Luke Johnson is going to get involved, and we have, as we go 3 wide around turn 4 over here, it's a bit slidey here, but nothing dramatic.
I do like. Sorry, carry on, mate.
No. As he now goes side by side with Winton, but Winton just manages to hold the position, but really starting to feel the pressure from Luke Johnson now.
I was just going to say, it kind of looked funny back there after T1, T2 area that the Fez was sitting in behind the Porsche going, yep, I'll sit here. Hang on, GTR's going, I'm going over there.
He wanted to use the Porsche as a slipstream to try and get around the GTR, but unfortunately, out of all the cars he could have gone stuck behind, it had to be a Porsche, and the Porsche just does not have the top end to be able to battle against the GTR down a straight, as we now have Lucas Keys threatening Brian Kong, and there's a bit of contact there, I think, from Lucas Keys, but nothing too dramatic. Brian Kong does keep it on track, but now he's really gonna start feeling the pressure from the number 22.
Lucas should have put 2 eyes on the front as well. He should have put 2 eyes on the front, and then that would be off-putting for me personally. I don't know about you, Cobby, but I would not want to be looking in my mirrors at all.
2 eyes, a mouth, and a nose.
Well, yeah, the mouth puts you off on the other car, so yeah, that'd work. As Lucas just goes right around the outside. Does he get it fully done? Not quite.
Oh, that's very tight, but they...
Oh, all I'm feeling is PTSD now.
They're keeping it clean. Brian Kong, looking like he just kept it clean there. Just Lucas did squeeze him a bit. Luckily, did not get eaten by that sausage at the inside of that corner. Unfortunately, he does lose the position to Lucas, but he's still in P3. He's still on the podium. It's not the end of the world, but he does have Joshua Vettiger now 1 second behind. So Joshua Vettiger now closing the gap. Earlier when we looked at that gap, it was like 5 seconds or something, and now it's all the way down to under a second now. And again, that Ferrari is going to have to face a Mustang. It's just they just have to face all these cars that are just extremely good on this type of track, unfortunately.
You'd just be sitting there just hearing the Jaws theme, just the dun, as you see the Mustang coming up behind you, or the GTR, and I'd just be shaking my head going, oh, not again.
Honestly, having a GTR behind you is quite scary. I find the Mustang to be even more intimidating with just how boxy that car looks.
I do agree.
I've just noticed on the timer, there's only 30 seconds to go, so Glory Baby will have to go for one more lap, obviously, as he's about to cross the start-finish line, but this will be the last lap for the front of the grid, as we see 2 cars going side by side. That's the 777 of Liam Kay and the 26 of Frusta going side by side. And again, there's a GTR getting involved in that battle, and it's looking like Johnson did manage to get around Winton, but now he's looking around that BMW that's going a bit sliding. Now is really on his rear bumper. So let's see what happens in the closing stages of this race, as Johnson does manage to get around the outside, but does go a bit wide, and Frusta manages to hold the position for now. There's a car up the track. It's looking like that Porsche almost collected the Ferrari of, I think that's Marsh, and now the Ferrari of Winton again looking around the inside of Johnson, but just not managing to make it stick, unfortunately.
Probably not the best place for my fellow Marsh to be parking there. Probably could have taken it to the inside, because I looked and just seen a green flash and went, oh, that was lucky. At least Liam had some foresight in going, yeah, just stay there. I'll just pass you nicely and not do anything nasty.
Definitely agree. Just looking at so we have Glory Babby. He has managed to hold off to P1 and he'll get rewarded with a win for race 2. So he did manage to fly back and ended up going P1 on race 2. That is a fantastic drive from Glory Babby. Lucas Keys will have to settle for P2, unfortunately for him.
Oh no.
Oh no, P2. As we have Saxon Hayes in P5 in the Audi, followed by McDowell. P6, and we have Murphy with a 5-second penalty. I'm wondering if he's gonna manage to hold to P7 because Jaden Rondinella was pretty close to these guys. I think Jaden. Nah, I don't think he got Murphy, but I think Jaden will get P8 due to the cars having penalties in front of him. Just not quite enough to get P5, P7 in the race. That battle really did go on to the start finish. It's looking like Frustock did manage to hold up to GTR. Ashley Vediger with a bit of damage to the front of that Mustang does end up in P22, followed by Wood and Benjamin Hignett, and Wesley Yao will close off the grid.
You couldn't ask for much more excitement in there, could you, Gobi?
That was two fantastic races. Honestly, Red Bull Ring's a fantastic track for racing. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, mate, I'm not even going to try that. You are fully correct. Especially for the GTRs and the Mustangs. That actually was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I've never seen the GTRs and the Mustangs at Red Bull Ring. And, yep, I was actually blown away.
Absolute monsters. Anyway, so overall for race 1, I think that is race 1, Lucas Keys will take the win, followed by Stephen Ty in P2, and Joshua Vediger will take the final stop on the podium. For the pro class, in silver class, we have Brian Kong in P1, followed by Wesley Yao, and Jaden Rondinella will take the final step of the silver podium. In Pro-Am, we have Ben Winton. He did fantastically in race 1, followed by Liam Kay and Ivan Lee in P3. And our AM class driver will be Michael Clark in P1, followed by Ashley Vediger, and I dare say, I think that's Jason Byrne or John Byrne. I don't quite know. In P3 in the Lamborghini. I didn't even realize there was a Lambo here. But that will be our results for race 1. In race 2, it'd be Glory Babby with the win, followed by Lucas Keys in P2 and Brian Kong in P3. As a silver driver, for the pro driver, would be Joshua Vediger. In P1 will be Brian Kong, followed by Jaden Rondinella and Perkins in P3. For our Pro-Am drivers will be Harry Murphy in P1, followed by Harry Smiles in P2, and Steve Lewis takes the final step of the Pro-Am podium. And for our AM class driver, we have Byrne in P1 in the Lamborghini, followed by Ashley Vediger and Baker in P3. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful.
It's got to be asked. Driver of the day / races.
I'm going to have to go for Glory Babby, both races.
Well, that was a pretty hard decision. Yeah, I kind of want to go Clark for race 1, but I also want to go Glory Babby for race 1. Race 2, I'm not too sure because there was too much excitement.
Race 2, but I gotta give a shout out to Jaden Rondinella, having starting from the pits and being up all the way up to, I think, was P8. That's with the penalties. That is a fantastic effort from Jaden Rondinella.
Actually, yeah, I got to go Lipdy as well. Having started from the pits, potentially not hitting the drive button, and unfortunately starting from the pits, yeah, I've got to go Jaden as well.
Alrighty. Anyways, that was Split Yellow. We have a short break, but stick around as we have Split Green coming up shortly, as we do have a bit of a break until that race starts. But my name was Tim Gobe, and commentating with David Marsh.
Good evening, ladies and germs. Welcome back after that very short break. We are here with Split Green. Take a breath, take a lean back. I hope you've got a nice drink with you, because this one will probably be a little bit more relaxed than the sweatiness that comes with Split Yellow. But my name is Blake Griffiths, and I'm joined in the booth by the ever wonderful Lexi Bone. Lexi, how are you?
I am doing pretty well, Blake. Thank you for asking. It's great to be here at the Red Bull Ring, a track that looks very simple on paper, but requires a lot of precision to get absolutely bang on perfect when you're actually going around for laps. And speaking of laps, the 17 drivers we have out on the grid tonight are going out for the formation lap for their first of two 30-minute races that we have here tonight, the Super Sprint formats.
I love a super sprint, and I love a super sprint at the Red Bull Ring. It is such a good track for racing. I'm beyond excited. I can't even put it into words, and that's saying something because it's my job. But we have Admiral Name leading them away. So we didn't actually get to see the qualifying for Split Green, unfortunately, just due to the timing of tonight. But we have Admiral Name leading the way from Ben Vintner. No, that's correct. And Luca Giacomin taking P3, followed by Damiano Thurcolini, John Hislop, David Barker, John Miller, and John Tanner, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Jack Miller. Damn. Oh, Sean was saying I think it's the same name as like a MotoGP.
Yeah, MotoGP driver.
Yeah.
Rider.
And Mateen in P9, the M class legend. I keep saying it. I'm gonna mail the admins a formal declaration that Mateen needs to be put upper class, because this is absurd, the level of skill that they are showing. And Andy Bishop rounding out your top 10 in the 89 McLaren. Who have you got your eyes on for this race, Lexi?
Well, I'm very interested to see what the 313 Ferrari of Giacomin can do from P3. The Ferrari, not too bad around here. We saw that could put some nice moves on, especially in these hard braking zones. The Ferrari typically pretty good on the brakes. Straight line speed, it's not the greatest, but I think compared to the BMW, the McLaren, and especially the Porsche, it should be able to do something pretty special. So my eyes are firmly on that 313 Ferrari tonight.
Yeah, Giacomin's been very good, but Admiral Name has been the crown bearer, if you will, in Split Green. He's been nigh unbeatable. We'll see if he can keep that up through two races tonight as they are rolling over their grid boxes, and we are about to get underway for race one here at the Red Bull Ring. Hold your breath. Then starts initialized, and we are green, and we are racing as they trundle up towards the hill. It's a lovely start for Admiral Name. Not so much for Ben Vintner. That's one to forget about, but he's on the inside. Giacomin's just straight around the outside, and that's P2 already for Luca Giacomin. Damiano Thurcolini a little bit further back there as they charge up the second part of the hill. Very, very hilly track up here in Austria. As we look a bit further down the grid, it looks like everyone's gotten through T1 with relative safety. There's 3 wide in the back there. Oh, that's a touch, and it's Calamity, and it's kicking off, and it's still happening. Oh my! And they might be calling a safety car. Ish? No.
Yes, they are.
They are?
It looks like it.
Back of the grid slow. Yeah, we're safety card. We're safety card. Oi.
So...
that was quick. That was quick.
So, from what I could see, there was a bit of contact between Giacomin and Vintner going into the turn 3, which kind of really is turn 2, but because the actual turn 2 is on the straight, but it's actually called turn 3. I could see a little bit of contact between Vintner and Giacomin, and that unsettled the rear end of Giacomin. He couldn't brake in time to avoid the back of, crucially, no, he would just an absolute passenger in that, and we'll have to take a look at that on a replay, but
yeah,
it is
I hope everyone had Glenn's computer installing updates on their bingo card, because that's unfortunately happened, so we might not be getting a replay for a little bit. So you're just gonna have to, maybe we can like charades it a little bit as to what happened. Or
Yeah.
we can not do that and we'll come back to it later. But unfortunately, Admiral Name...
Really? I think at this point, given that we don't have a replay, we can just leave it to the stewards to decide.
Yeah. No, they love it. They love it when I make the calls for them and then I'm wrong anyway. It's really good for it.
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite pastime. It looks like we are getting back underway here. Giacomo's had a very good start, and it's Vintner leading the way in the Sofa King Slow BMW with the in all caps Ferrari right behind him. As we see off in the background, that looks to be David Barker. He's going to come back on side by side with Mateen, who's up to P6 if you don't mind. You might be right there with your assessment of Mateen, as we see side by side going up in the turn 3. This is where we saw the incident on the opening lap. Mateen on the inside will have the better run, but Barker will be able to get the cleaner exit, although it's pretty nip and tuck between them at the moment. So still side by side as we go down now towards turn 4, the downhill right-hander. Very tricky to get the braking point right, especially when you're on the inside. It looks like Turquini's looking as well to get a move done. He's going to go to the inside of Barker, and there is contact, and Turquini has a little bit of a moment, but he manages to gather it back up. That was probably a little bit self-inflicted there from Turquini. He's going to lose the position to John Rad in the process.
Yeah, very feisty move there, very aggressive from Damiano, and unfortunately just paying the price with that the Kunos Things physics, if you will. That's a free one on your bingo card. And yeah, just coming out the loser there to David Barker. John Rad actually capitalizing on that too and is now ahead of Thurcolini as well. But Thurcolini, no slow operator. We'll see if if John is able to hold up Damiano, or if Damiano will march on past.
Indeed we will, as we round out for the first of a clean green racing lap, and it is still Vintner 3/10 clear of Giacomo, who is right on the rear of the BMW and might be looking to go for a bit of a late braking move as we run up into turn 3. Vintner's going to hold that inside line. He'll really want to get a result here. He's seeing P4 in the standings at the minute and could move up ahead of Damiano Turcolini if he manages to hold on to this win, but it looks like Giacomo's going to try and get the run on out of the exit, a little switcheroo, but he can't get it. The Ferrari doesn't quite have the acceleration that the BMW he does. And now, will Giacomo dive to the inside? He will. Late on the brakes, it's going to be tight between, but Giacomo does back out. That was probably a wise thing to do there, and Vintner maintains P1 for the moment.
It's a tricky thing to get that move done through T2 and then into T3, because if you're on the inside, you're still holding the inside for T4, and you're able to hold that. It's sort of just, you have to really just make sure you get that exit right out of T2 or 3, allegedly T3. So just seeing a little bit of that, and we'll see what Giacomo can do to get around Vintner, but so far Vintner's looking pretty good as they're coming through the last 2 corners. Very, very tricky section, a little bit off camber for both, and then in camber through the last corner. You have to make sure you're hitting that nice and tidy, otherwise you're hitting that little silent copper and you're going off into the wall.
Indeed, and another thing to keep in mind is the track limits around here. Because it's such a simple track, you have to be on the edge of the limits at every single corner, so it's not going to be easy for these drivers to avoid drive-through penalties tonight. However, because it's only a half-hour race, it should make things a little bit simpler. But meanwhile, Vintner started to build a little bit of a gap, and Giacomo's coming under a bit of pressure from the silver class Fruit Bowl Nissan of Hislop.
Yeah, wouldn't count out a GTR around here. It's a nice car. It's a little bit tricky through the latter stage of the circuit, but it's bloody good. And that acceleration is nothing to scoff at.
Absolutely, with the turbo power that the GTR is able to spit out, the Datsun can really push on and challenge for great results here. We saw the Nissans perform pretty well in Split Yellow, so can Hislop, in the lone Nissan here, do something special within Split Green?
They're just looking down the grid. We've got Admiral Names only moved up 1 position so far, 2 tenths behind Andy Bishop as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We're nearly a third of the way through this race, so we'll see how Admiral Name goes and if he can recover. After that incident, it was really nothing of his own doing. I do believe, if my eyes don't deceive me, we do have some kind of team cars going on between Mateen and Izzle. with that sort of two-tone pink and grey McLaren. So that's pretty cool. Makes my job harder though. So thanks, guys.
Yes, no, that they are indeed part of the same esports team. We can see in the team name down there, as we see just ahead of Izul, that name is going to be right on the back of Bishop. It's been a struggle for him to move up the field with so many McLarens to get through, him himself being the McLaren, and he has a look up the inside, and it looks like Bishop's not going to fight it too hard, trying to get better exit, but name up into P13.
Yeah, Bishop's still having a little bit of a look around the outside here, considering that he kind of let that one go, but I think the name should have that one wrapped up with the inside of T4. Meanwhile, Vintner still holding on here. Hislop hasn't gotten too much closer to Giacomin either, so these guys just holding pat right now. We do have Beaten actually quite a ways back from the pack. We didn't quite see that one go down, and unfortunately we aren't going to see that one for the time being. But as we settling in, ooh, can't do too many of those, mate.
Yeah, it's a second consecutive lap that Vintner's done that. He's going to be very careful here. Can easily accrue those warnings that lead to the penalty that could be the demise of his race, as Giacomin is currently the pace setter. He's got the fast lap of the race, and he's really starting to challenge Vintner once again right on the back of him as we exit turn 1.
Yeah, I wonder if you're Giacomin, you could probably just keep that pressure on, see if you can bait Vintner into using all those speed tokens and getting a bit of a penalty. Because yeah, he's looking pretty in control right now, Giacomin, and seeing Vintner just back to back with the track limits through the penultimate section of the track, it's a little bit dicey. It'd be a really unfortunate way to end such a good position for Vintner right now.
Oh, it looks like it could have been a little bit late on the brakes there from Giacomin, but I think the tactic for Giacomin here is, as you say, put the pressure on Vintner and potentially force him into a bit of an error, or, as you jovially say, use up the speed tokens. But seems like the pace so far from Vintner isn't too bad, but that's a late dive to the inside from Giacomin. There's a bit of contact between the two of them. They're going to be side by side, but it looks like Giacomin is going to get through. That was a real late dive to the inside.
I'm not sure about that one, but we really cut just as it sort of all came to a head there. We'll see what the stewards have to say. Wowie, that was aggressive to say the least.
Yeah, very much so. It's hard to really say given the camera angles we had, but yeah, it's definitely one that I'm sure the stewards will be looking into. As there you go, drive through for Luca Giacomin for an unsafe rejoin on lap 1, so they've deemed that the follow-up on the bit of contact at turn 1 where he came, turn 3, sorry, where he came back onto the racetrack is where he drive through. So that little move he put on isn't really going to mean much anyways.
No, it's all a bit moot now, and Ben Vintner is now calmly in control of this race as long as he can keep Hislop at an arm's length behind him. So, wow, that's spicy. It's spicy. It's a big stick.
Yeah, and getting confirmation from Ryan that, yes, the initial contact is no further investigation, but the drive-through is simply for assumably not holding the brakes and coming back onto the track in an unsafe manner and causing additional carnage.
Yeah. Not going to make any further comment on that. I was looking down the pack, so I actually didn't even see it happen. I looked back and the 2 of the 3 front cars were sort of halfway around, and I was like, what? So, wowie. Looking down the field, we've still got some tight packs. We've got Barker 4 seconds off Miller, but behind him, Mateen is hot on his tail with a unholy gaff, if you will, with a 666. With Thurcolini, I think... Thurcolini's gotten ahead of John Rad. No, yeah, that's right, but he's not gotten past Mateen just yet.
Yeah, correct. Also getting some additional context. So the reason why it was a drive-through, here's the replay, so we're going to see it, and yeah, look. Yeah, okay, so he puts the throttle into it, trying to keep things straight, and ultimately hits another car.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's about halfway around. You can't really just power on through, and well, you can't. The steward say you can't, and that's that really, unless he wants to try and protest it. But I don't know.
Taking a look at the initial contact, so okay, so there was a bit of a squeeze put on by Giacomin there, but you can see where Vintner sort of kept it for a little bit long perhaps, but still, because there was probably a bit on both sides, I think that no further investigation was fair in the end.
And Kamaris, it's not so much leaving the track, it's more so when you have an incident, you hold your brakes. It's in the rule book. Like he's halfway around. He kept the wheels spinning to get back around. I mean, that's good for him, but it did cause a lot of incidents behind. So, but we move on. We're about halfway through the race. Giacomin on track in the lead with a penalty to his name for the time being. He's falling off the back of Vintner a little bit. It's about 1 second. We've got Dylan Gamble down the back. Dylan Gamble was 2/10 to Pascal Armstrong, but we're actually looking at name, and we're 3 wide as we approach T2, and that's going to be... the math doesn't quite equate, and there's a little bit of push and shove. We're going to see who comes out on top here. I think Name purposely going kind of wide just to avoid whatever happens, and switches under. But it's going to be side by side, and they're going very, very close together. Bishop, the winner there, actually gets head and shoulders away. And Dylan Gamble's not giving up on this one. He's looking to pull up on side and maybe get late on the brakes, but Name's got the inside. He's got it locked down. The car's placement is perfect, and Gamble is going to have to settle for P14 there.
Yeah, that was a tight moment. There was a little bit of rubbing there between Bishop and Gamble, but they managed to escape without injury. So Name probably smart, just holding off. As much as he did lose position to Bishop, as unfortunately Gamble in the background getting a bit too much curve on the inside there at turn 8, and has gone around as Giacomin has not served the drive-through and has been disqualified.
Well, that probably tells us Giacomin's feelings about that penalty. Matt Powell in the chat just elaborating also that the DT covers the move into the corner and the rejoin on the spin too. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal, if you will.
Oh, Kamaris has just asked, if you don't serve a drive-through, what's the time pen? Well, the time penalty is disqualification. You get 0.00000 on your race time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that actually means for the next race. We'll have to wait and see.
Presumably, he'd still be able to qualify unless the stewards deem the him ignoring the race director's instructions much more serious offence.
Yeah, we'll see what they have to say about that. But right now, on track, we've got Bishop and Pascal Armstrong side by side. Mustang on McLaren. Bishop just tucks in underneath, and you can see the Name has the speed on these guys, because he absolutely just closed that gap as quick as you like coming through that middle section. But it's not, it's easy to catch up. It's not easy to pass. That's another one for your bingo card, ladies and gents.
Yes, indeed.
That's another one.
Name is just sort of stuck in a little bit of a tricky spot here. He's got drivers who are fighting pretty hard around him, and he wants to get through. He wants to get up into P10, that reverse grid pole position for the next race, but he just can't do anything about it right now. Although Bishop's poor run through turn 1, trying to get through on Pascal Armstrong, might help him a little bit here. Of course, that would be why they're fighting so hard, because this is the fight for P10.
Which, if you've not been following, is P1 for the next race. There is a reverse top 10 from the initial top 10 of the previous race. The rest of the grid will qualify as normal, if you're not familiar with Super Sprints.
Yes, indeed. His name's going to try and stick to the outside here as we run into turn 4. Bishop holding that inside line and doing pretty well as John Rad picks up a 10-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 1. John Rad currently sitting in P7, so that would drop him down, likely outside the top 10. So that would move Bishop up into 10th provisionally. So now Name really has to get through. But he's made a little bit of a mistake and nearly invited Izul into the equation.
And it's always a bit tricky trying to get through with the same machinery, same strengths, same weaknesses. Bishop's having a bit of a look inside here.
Pascal Armstrong made a little bit of a mistake here.
Yeah, so cleanly through there for Bishop, nice and easy. But Pascal Armstrong not looking to give that one up. He's had a bit of a look to the inside, but he's just not got the speed. But I think he's really going to have to look behind rather than ahead for the time being. Name looking like he's got a little bit of speed. We'll see. He ducks to the inside there. It's definitely side by side, and he's got that done easy peasy.
He's run off the track though. He's going to have to give that one back. He's outbroke himself and went deep into the corner, and Pascal Armstrong is straight back through.
Yeah.
Now, here comes Azul. Is Azul going to have a look to the inside at turn 3? Doesn't look like he's going to be quite close enough, as in the background, that is Gamble. Oh no, Lim, sorry. Lim up the inside. And see Azul run a little bit wide, but looks like Lim is not able to get the move done yet.
Yeah, just a little bit frustrating here for Name. He really needs to get at least that, well, P11 for the time being, if that 10-second penalty is going to translate to John Rad being out of the top 10, just to consolidate something from this first race. Does look worth noting, it looks like he is carrying a bit of damage to the front of that McLaren, which will not be helping his cause.
And something else that won't be helping his cause is the fact he's trying to overtake a Mustang, and we know how quick the Mustang is in a straight line.
And there's a few of those around here, straight-ish. It's another good car around here. Just so much grunt.
Yeah,
it's a bit wide there.
Yeah, I think we're just going to be seeing that all night from Split Green. It's pretty easy to do, to be fair, regardless of what you're driving, whether it's these GT3s, or whether it's an F1 car, or whether you're just driving a little Aussie racing car.
I mean, you can see, looking at Name's best time at 28, I think that was 0.3, and then the last was a 30, so he's being held back about 2 seconds a lap at the very least. It's frustrating going right now for Admiral Name.
Indeed it is, and it won't be getting any easier as Damiano Turcolini is now all over the back of Mateen, who equally is all over the back of Barker, and Turcolini has a look to the inside, trying to spook the M-Class driver, but Mateen is not deterred, and he holds on to that position for now, doing brilliantly in P5, and could be looking at P4 depending on what he can do against Barker, but that would probably be the best it gets for him in this race, as Turcolini makes a bit of an error, too much curb on the inside there. The tyres screaming enough, and he loses a bit of time, but doesn't lose any positions.
Yeah, we expect a little bit more from Damiano. He's very talented. Stuck behind an M-Class driver, Damiano. Oh, that's not helping your cause either. Even though I said earlier that Mateen definitely shouldn't be in the M-Class.
Yes, indeed. You know, I think your call earlier was pretty bang on. I mean, look, I looked at the standings before, and Mateen is well clear. There's a little bit of a bump on the exit of turn 1, so I don't think he'll be allowed to go for the move into turn 3 because of that. But it did give Barker a little bit more of a straight line advantage at the start of the straight. And now Turcolini is back into the equation. Mateen having a look to the outside, Barker defending the inside. And is Mateen going to try and get the run on the exit? He gets on the yellow sausage, so it's not going to help him too much. And now look at how tight this battle pack is for P4.
Aiden Sky is in the chat with the useful info. Damiano got smacked, got caught up in all that kerfuffle at turn 3, lap 1, so probably carrying a fair bit of damage, which is not helping his campaign. But right now he's actually looking to the inside of T4. He's going to be on the outside as we go through this middle section of the track, and they're going to stay side by side. Damiano going very, very wide. Mateen holding a pretty nice line there, and he's going to pull up still ahead of Damiano as they come out of that technical section.
Indeed, as looking back, Names managed to get through on Pascal Armstrong, even though he's got 12 seconds of damage, and he's looking pretty well set to take P10 in this race, whether that be on track or because of John Rudd's penalty, who is now in this battle pack.
So if you're named though, do you keep trying to get up the field, or do you just settle with that so you have P1 for the next race?
I mean, the thing is though, even if he moves up an extra position, he would still be starting on the front row.
Yeah, I mean, name is very, very, very clearly good enough as well, because P2, no disrespect to whoever's P2, whether it's Tanner or Bishop or Oliver, not quite the same pace that name has, so I don't know if he'll have too much trouble getting away. So, silly question, I guess. I think name will just power on, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a very good gap in the championship. His gap to Giacomo behind was 202 points at the start of this race, but because Giacomo got disqualified, it's only going to get higher.
Yeah, for sure, as we get this lovely onboard with the Porsche that is absolutely screaming through these Austrian hills. Looking at the back of Mateen, who's been relatively in control here, and I
Nice one.
words are coming out of my mouth, and he's losing traction. Oi, yoy, yoy.
Well done, Blake. You have tried to curse your favorite driver in this split, as Damiano is really struggling with those tyres. Even though it's only a 30-minute race, these drivers have really punished the tyres they've been on, and it's going to make things very interesting in the next race. Speaking of interesting, the fight for P1 isn't quite over yet. Ben Vintner starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Hislop, as there was a little bit of a move further back from Oliver on Rad, but didn't look like anything was going to eventuate. But look at Hislop here. Could we see the Nissan take the win? It looks like he's managing his pace and his tyres pretty well out front with Vintner here.
It's looking pretty good right now for Hislop. And Dasbok, absolutely, that was a commentator's curse. That was about as ripe, as fresh as they come. The words weren't even out of my mouth yet. But Miller, right now, having a lovely drive to a podium.
Yes, indeed, he is. Maybe more well known for two wheels, but Jack Miller doing fantastic here on four wheels in the 21 Pro Am Porsche, and he's just kept things really clean, and he's got a pretty big advantage over Barker, 5.2 seconds. That is nothing to scoff at. So Jack Miller can be pretty happy with the performance he's putting on here. Will make things a little bit more tricky for him in the next race, as Damiano Turcolini is around at turn 8.
Damiano! No! Can't believe it. I think he cooked his tyres. I bet if we watch the replay, he's probably come all the way around on his own.
As he's going to get overtaken by absolutely everyone, so name is up into the top 10 anyways.
That's what we call sandbagging or tanking for pole position in the next race. Oh, that's not pole position in the next race.
It won't be pole position unless Rad builds a massive advantage.
That's it's tanking to set your own actual pole in the next race, I guess, in the small field that's going to be qualifying.
Yeah. Look, it's not the biggest field, I will admit, but we've still seen a fair bit of action happen, and we've still got to fight on for our race lead here. So
yeah,
it definitely hasn't been a race to throw away. That's for sure. Absolutely
not. There's been plenty of action, plenty of controversy, plenty of stories already to tell. We're going to tell our children about these stories at what happened at Red Bull Ring.
But to assume I'm going to have children there, Blake.
Neither. But now we're getting a little bit of a replay with Damiano. A little bit sketchy coming through this technical middle section on the curb. It's just not quite liking that. And yeah, just not traversing it very well, unfortunately.
Could you say that was a little bit of a Porsche Chings moment?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't drive the Porsche, so I don't really know.
I mean, it looked pretty loose. Like, yes, the curb can get you sideways, but typically not that sideways. And the way that he couldn't control it even coming through turn 8, showed that, yeah, maybe the Porsche wasn't quite handling to the expectations that he was hoping for.
Yeah, indeed. Hislop and Vintner, though, it's a little bit steady. I was hoping it would be a little bit spicier than this, with about 2 to 3 laps to go. I'm really good at mathematics. But Vintner still in control of this race right now. It's his to win or lose.
Well, yes, you could say that about pretty much all the drivers out there. It is theirs to win or lose. The problem is,
oh, come on, you know
more
what
of
I
them
mean.
lose than they do win.
Well, it's okay. It's not Beaton's race to win or lose at this point. It's in Vintner's hands. He's in control. He's in the driver's seat, for lack of a better term. He's now got 8/10 on on Hislop. So as long as he keeps it clean, keeps it steady, doesn't use any more of those speed tokens, he's got this. He's got it in the bag. Cash that one, take it straight to the bank, get some doubloons, you know?
Yeah, the balloons, damn, yeah, beautiful there from Blake Griffiths as we run through turn 1. Hislop, yeah, just starting to lose a little bit of touch, but we know how good that Nissan is in a straight line, so we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, Alex Pascal Armstrong might not be secure for that reverse grid pole just yet. There's still 2 laps that he'll have to complete, and that gap to Rad is getting awfully close to 10 seconds, if you ask me.
It really is. Again, they don't pay me for mathematics, so I'm going to let the game work that out as we come across the line, but it is looking suspiciously close.
And not only that, but he has a little bit of company from behind from a few drivers, just Lim and Azul. It's going to be an interesting end to this race for both P1 and reverse grid pole for the next race. Looks like Lim might be shaping up for a bit of a move. Pascal Armstrong really struggling at this point. The Mustang isn't the cleanest on its tyres, but even then, it's only a half-hour race. You would have thought that perhaps the tyres would manage themselves better, but that's very wide, and that's a bit of a snap there. And Lim is up the inside. This is gonna put Rad into a beautiful position. Okay,
that made me sick. That was what a snap.
So everyone's tires are dead.
Everyone's just going too hard. They're already cooked. Totally cooked. That's right. Pascal is a controller savant.
Yes. Oh, I forgot. Yes, that is very true. So that makes sense. Pascal Armstrong is not starting from a reverse grid pole, by the way.
Not with 7 seconds. That's over 8 seconds.
So John Rad's 10-second penalty has given him the reverse grid pole for the moment, but we still got half a lap to go.
Trust the process, John Rad. Trust the process.
All part of the Ferrari. Oh no, it's not a Ferrari. All part of the
McLaren Grand strategy.
Rules.
Aye. But Vintner with a handful of corners to go, and it looks like Hislop is but a memory in the rear mirror. 2 corners, Ben Vintner. Bring it home, mate.
And he is going to be able to do it as he comes around
the
final corner, and it's going to be Ben Vintner taking the win in the first race here in Split Green at the Red Bull Ring. Hislop, a brilliant second, got close to the win, but has to settle for second, but still the silver class win, and great job from Jack Miller. Pro-Am victory and overall podium P3 in the race for the Porsche. Well done indeed. Then we'll have Barker, Mateen. Rad won't be in P6. It'll be Oliver, Tanner, Bishop, Name, and then we'll have John Rad, who will be starting on reverse grid pole for the next race before you get down to Pascal Armstrong, Lim, Izul, Gamble, Turcolini, and Beaton in an unfortunate but lowly and distant P16.
Look, I'm going to say it. Mad respect to Beaton. You got to show up to get those points. 16 people on the grid. That's a lot of points for racing, you know. overall championship, it matters. So hats off to Beaton. Bring that one home, mate, and be proud of those points.
Absolutely, yeah. Can be very pleased with his efforts in this race, and yeah, he'll come across in what is P15.
Did we lose someone?
We have lost someone.
They're back?
They're not back.
They don't look very back. I'm trying to think, who did we lose? You got Name, you got Thurklini, Mateen, Rad, Bishop, Tanner, Miller, Pascal Armstrong, Izzle. Oh, this is ridiculous. I can't do this.
Yeah, we'll work it out in due course.
Well,
But either way, we have 16 drivers now.
we have 16 drivers and we have a questionable amount of people going out for qualifying because I don't know who left.
It will be 6 or 7 drivers going
It will
out
be
for qualifying.
6 or 7 drivers will be driving their hearts out for qualifying for race 2. So our top 10 is already settled. Reverse grid, reverse finishing positions from the last race. Damiano, someone with something to prove here. I think he'll be pretty disappointed with the result from that first race, and I think off the top of my head, him or Giacomin is definitely the shout for this one. Right now, we've got 2 cars on track. It's very lonely track right now.
Interestingly, Giacomin is showing as on track, but is still sitting in the pits, so probably some leftover shenanigans from the DSQ in the previous races. We get a nice camera angle there of Damiano completely running into us.
He won't be happy with me after some of the things I said in the previous race.
Yeah, okay, then yeah, running into the camera is probably valid.
Also, I believe we have Nick Amon back in the chat. It's been a little while, and if that's not Nick, that's going to be mildly embarrassing. But if it is, hello, Nick.
Wonderful to see him returned in the chat. Of course, our North American commentator friend, comrade in the box, who's done some brilliant things for OR over the years.
Big Titanfall 2 fan, so we're homies for life.
Hey. We watch Damiano through turn 3, nice and clean in the Relaxmore Racing Porsche. So he now makes the long track down towards the downhill braking zone at turn 4 through the route sign and in. Not too bad. Seemed like a pretty decent exit, of course. Only the first lap, so still plenty of time for him to really go full beans.
Yeah, gotta get those tires and brakes warm. Pressure's right. And yes, I was correct. That is Nick Amon. I'm not a fool. My dignity is intact.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. But we are going to get our first benchmark from Damiano, or the 819 might be providing one. Nope, no such luck. It will be Damiano as he comes around the final corner, and it shall be a 128.89. Now, that time, it's pretty good. It's not bad. It's a good banker.
Yes, not bad. It's
not bad.
As you say, for a banker, pretty solid.
Yeah.
We do have, by the looks of it, 6 cars out there. So there has been one driver that has unfortunately dropped out. So someone forgot that it was actually 2 races tonight.
That would be mildly funny. They're like, oh, I guess we're just doing a short race this week.
Oh, and bonk. So yeah, it's all around at turn 1, just too much curb on the inside, too much curb on the outside. Around it goes, and I think he did manage to avoid the wall in the end, despite my very dramatic bonk. But it's not ideal, not ideal.
No, you got, you know, worn tires there, this and that. It's not really yet very much an ideal, but Pascal Armstrong just pipping Damiano Thurcolini by about 1/100th of a second. So not much in it there so far, but I do expect this operator will have something to say about that top time right now.
Indeed, he will. Luca Giacomin will be looking to fight back after being disqualified in a previous race, of course. Kind of his own doing by not serving the drive-through that was given to him. But he will look to achieve something far greater than what he was able to in the first race. It looks promising, but yeah, in the end, it was probably going to come to naught anyway with the drive-through he had.
Yeah. It's too much to overcome in a 30-minute race, but that one is
invalid.
Just an invalid. I was going to say, even if it was an outlap, you get a time. So,
oh yeah, a 28.387. That would be 0.5 of a second faster than what Pascal Armstrong's done so far. So, yeah, decently quick.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. Just on board with Daryl Lim in the 819 Ferrari LW Racing. I like the little decal on the side of this car. It's nice. I like it. We'll see what stuff Daryl Lim is made of as he comes through up the hill, over the crest, down to the last corner. Gets it nice and wide. Gets it turned in onto the apex. Maybe a little much apex and maybe not quite enough speed there. Not really on the limit, but we shall see, and it will be
28.5.
What do I
Eat your words, Blake.
Oh
wow.
Is that like can you curse yourself? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, either way, it's still 0.05 faster than what Turcolini's just been able to put down, although we're about to see what Giacomin can do as he is about to cross the line very, very shortly with, this time, a completely valid lap. And can he hold it through the final corner? This looks like it's going to be pretty good. It comes up to the line at 28 flat. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Now I don't look stupid anymore.
Not as stupid.
Lexi, please. Say anything. I mean, there's still like plenty of time there, though. The 100% time for RBR is 27, pretty much flat. Well, sorry, it's a 26.99 allegedly, which I would just call a 27 flat. The mathematician that I am.
Don't tell the driver who set that 26.99 that it's a 27.
I mean, I wouldn't hold it against them, but for the sake of brevity, it's a 27. So there's still a second to play with potentially. I mean, a 26.99, if you will, is obviously a very high percentile driver can achieve a time like that.
It's a very nice time.
It's a lovely time. Thurcolini 3.5 tenths up right now. It's going to be good for P2. It's not going to quite shake the boots of Giacomin just yet, but I think you'll be relatively happy with that. He's going to have 2 more bites at the apple here, Damiano, if he so wishes. But right now, back up with our controller savant, Pascal Armstrong. It's looking like about what he's capable of thus far. It's about a tenth. It's ebbing, it's flowing, just like this track does, up and down. But we shall see what Pascal Armstrong has in his bag of tricks.
Yeah, it looks like he got a bit wide and a bit loose going through turn 6 there. Now through 7 and 8. Kept it nice and clean, but he's lost all the time that he had, so he's going to have one more opportunity to potentially move up into P3, which would be P13, but Giacomin is on a lap here, and he's about a tenth up as he runs out turn 3.
So a bit of a spread between our 6 competitors for this qualifying session, which is to be expected. There's a large array of talent on display right now. I don't know if we'll get a real nail-biting finish here, but always good to see some professionals do their work. Giacomin just coming through the middle section. It's still about a tenth. Looking pretty tidy through here thus far. Gets it out nice and wide, brings it in, but down and back up again, if you don't mind. 2 tenths. He's got 2 more corners to navigate.
This would potentially put him into the 27s if he can hold it through the final few corners. Gains a lot of time, so really starting to push the limits of this Ferrari, and this should easily be into the 27s for Luca Giacomin, and it very much is with a 27.772.
A lot of 7s, a lot of 2s. And he's hanging it up there, hanging up the cleats. That's enough for him. I think he feels like he's done enough. I dare say he might do. It looks like, I don't know if the 200 or the 819 got around in time for a lap.
Yeah, that'll be a no. As
I don't think so. Oh, that was comical.
As we see Lim try to take the long lap penalty sideways.
But we just got beaten, bringing it home. It's, I hate to say it, beaten. It's not looking great right now. It's 2 tenths down. It's still 2 tenths down. So that is going to be it for beaten, and that's going to do us for this small itsy bitsy qualifying session to sort out the remaining runners in our second race. Lexi, what's your predictions for race 2?
Chaos, carnage, destruction, all of the above.
And here I was hoping for a peaceful resolution.
There is no such thing as a peaceful revolution in the second race of a super sprint.
Nah, I love content.
Me too, I consume it every day.
Except for if I'm behind the wheel, then that's crap. It's unfair.
No, don't say that, Blake. Don't say that, Blake. No, I reckon it'll be very interesting. I believe we've got Rad starting from reverse group pole. Their name in second. Name we'll be looking for. Good redemption from race 1 after being spun around and given 12 seconds of damage by the collisions that occurred at turn 3 and lap 1 in the previous race. So he'll be looking to bounce back. But yeah, I reckon we could see a few more Pro-Ams on the podium in this race. There'll be my prediction, I would say, I'd say 2 Pro-Ams on the podium.
Ooh. All right, I like that. It's the spice of meter is struggling to pick it up, but I think it's mildly spicy.
Only mild, really?
Yeah.
I guess that depends on your spice tolerances here.
Yeah. I think that's pretty spicy, because I'm just trying to think who's good enough to maintain under the threat of someone like Name coming up behind them really quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sort of thinking, like, you have Barker, Vintner, Hislop, Oliver, all there, and I think Bishop's in that group as well, who are silver class drivers, Mateen AM class drivers, so that really leaves Rad, Tanner, and Miller.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you want 2 Pro-Ams, you have to pick from the field that's available. I mean, Miller had a very nice race out, but it was relatively dramaless, if you will. So his metal was not quite tested, But I like it. I like the solid prediction. So I can tell you it was silly and ridiculous when it doesn't happen later on.
Yes, you can call me silly all you like. Go ahead. But we are about to get the formation lap underway. You have not given me a prediction just yet, Blake, so I'm interested. What are your thoughts going into race 2?
You see, it's a fool's gambit to give you a prediction, because then you can be made fun of. So if I don't even have one, I win.
No. I'm asking you for a prediction.
Nah, okay. I reckon Damiano excellence tonight. He's coming back. It's going to be Damiano P2.
Whoa.
It's going to be Admiral Name P1. Damiano P2. And then it's going to be Mateen P3. Real spicy.
Yeah, so you're going for a big comeback. The turn coming from P12 to P2, and you're also going from a teen to go from what, P6 up to P3.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay, I'd say we've got the spice levels pretty well matched here. It's going to be interesting to see what actually transpires in this race. But of course, we have the drivers now rolling along the grid. We've got the top 10 reversed, and the remaining drivers that complete the qualifying session before now traveling along at a relatively comfortable speed, as it looks like Bishop's been left behind.
Uh-oh, it's a very sad blue McLaren back there. That would have been, it would have been immensely funny if I'd...
Oh, he's got it back. Has he, oh, no. Oh, I think there might be a mechanical issue here. Yeah, might have to just roll it into the siding.
Glenn's suggesting getting out and pushing it up the hill.
Let's see, can he get it moving? Has he got it going? Yes, he has. Okay.
So I wonder if there's maybe a force feedback thing there, because there's a bit of a test left and right a few times.
Yeah,
a little bit again.
It's going to be interesting. I wonder if he's lost a little bit of force speed. He's still got a little bit going there, so I think it might be okay, but yeah, may have just had to be a bit of a Control-Alt-Delete situation.
As he's scrambling to get back up the grid. Where was Bishop starting? Refresh my memory, please, Lexi.
If memory serves me correct, it would have been about P3.
Well, you want to make sure... I don't know if he's going to be able to get up all the way back up.
I have a feeling he's going to have to start from the back of the grid.
Yeah, that's rough. That's tough. That hurts my feelings.
Yeah. It sucks, but yeah, we'll see. What is he going to do? No, I think he's holding up.
It's too late. We're at the last corner. I think it would be relatively irresponsible to send it through, and I don't think the race director would be very happy with you.
Yep, I think race director has made the right call, unfortunately, for Bishop there. But we are about to get this race underway. It is going to be rad from name out front with Tanner, Mateen, Oliver, Barker, Miller, Hislop. Then was Vintner and Giacomin. Now your top 10 as we are about to get this one underway. Race start will be initialized very, very shortly, and we will have the green flag waving, and it is a great start from Name, who immediately jumps from P2 up into P1, and meanwhile the Porsche there around the outside. It's going to be tight there for Jack Miller, but he can't do it on this occasion. He still gets around the outside of Barker. Still a bit of side-by-side going on here between Vintner and Giacomin. Giacomin on the outside. These two got caught up a little bit at this corner on lap one in the previous race, but it looks like Giacomin is going to get this one done, and Vintner's been left napping there as Lim gets up into P10 now. That is a great move around the outside, leaving Vintner in the dust, who was, of course, our race winner from race one. But out front, Name, Oro with a great start with Rad in second, Oliver third, and Tanner right behind him in P4.
Yeah, lovely clean start this time. No tomfoolery to be had. Everyone through. The first lap is not done, but I'm calling it safe for the time being.
For now, as it looks like Jack Miller's made a huge gain up the field. He's up in the P4 now, ahead of Barker and Tanner, so now he's the one chasing after Oliver. Giacomin already in P7, if you don't mind.
Your prediction of 2 Pro-Ams on pole is looking not too bad right now, Lexi.
Pole? We've already had qualifying.
Podium, sorry.
And to be honest, I don't think 2 drivers can start from pole.
Not with that attitude.
Of course, but yes, it's looking okay at the moment. As that's a little bit wide from Tanner, as now we see Oliver going up the inside of Rad. Rad may just not quite have the pace to hold on to it in this race, but Oliver easily up with the straight line speed of that Aston Martin, and now it looks like Barker's looking to the inside of Tanner there. Can't make the move stick in the Milwaukee Ferrari at the moment.
Yeah, he's got a pretty hot hot operator on his rear right now. He's going to have to be pretty careful. Giacomin definitely racing with a chip on his shoulder this time, already up a bunch of positions. And honestly, probably going to be racing pretty aggressive. He was aggressive in the first race before any of that went down. So, yoy.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to gain a lot of positions as he's got the fast lap the race with a 37.5 so far. We've only had the one lap, but still it shows that he's got good pace in that white, in all caps, Ferrari.
It's something to be said as well, setting the fastest lap when you're like way down in the pack. I'm not even really sure how you accomplish that.
Yes.
You just do.
Just yes.
Just do it. But yeah, I mean, like literally, it feels like it's quite hard to go faster than the person in front of you. And I mean, he obviously did because he just went by a bunch.
Well, yeah, he
very
overtook a lot of drivers. So,
yeah, Vintner being left in the dust, currently behind Mateen. Mateen also dropping a few positions, I believe.
I know how Giacomin did it because he was technically the pole sitter, so he was the one that started this race, whereas the ones ahead of him had already crossed the line and therefore started their laps a little earlier.
Yeah. Wait, no?
Yeah, because they're going slower for that period of time, whereas Giacomin can pick up the speed a lot quicker than them. So that's, I think the first lap he was like 2 seconds faster than Name.
Oh, yeah. No, because he's passing. The race starts with him because he was the pole sitter technically. So everyone ahead was doing. They were slow, like they lost like a.
They were still doing 80 k's an hour when they crossed the line.
Glenn's just a non-believer. Can you believe this guy? Ooh!
Hold the brakes! Hold the brakes! You did not hold the brakes. Okay, fair enough.
John Rad, you must hold the brakes.
All the time, you must hold the brakes.
Ay. Out of control means hold the brakes, Glenn. That was... we're gonna get a replay because we're all arguing and none of you can even hear Glenn. He's ridiculous. He's screaming in my ear right now. Can you believe the guy?
He's being very interesting, yeah. No, we love Glenn in here. We love Glenn.
No, we love Glenn. But Giacomin's actually gotten past Tanner through all of that kerfuffle we've just had as well. So Giacomin on an absolute mission.
Well, yeah,
Barker has as well.
And Giacomin, because Tanner was the other driver involved in that little skirmish there that we saw with Rad. We saw spin around. We'll see whether he was holding the brakes or whether he just completely lost control. But yeah, the body language of the car didn't speak kindly to me, I don't think.
It didn't say brakes to me, but look, sometimes I am just a pretty face, you know?
Of course.
But Name already with 2 seconds on to Oliver, and Oliver with 1 and a bit to Miller. Miller having another lovely race right now. As Giacomin with
Giacomin through there?
I mean, he has to have, right? Like you can't just drive around someone on the corner entry without them letting you through. Oh,
okay, so
pedaling something fierce silently.
Oh, in the background, that's Mateen going a little bit wide, trying to defend from Damiano. Damiano needs to do a bit more if he wants to move up into P2 here, but still up a few positions from where he started in P12. Is that a bit of a dive to the inside? But
that was
Mateen.
A lot of trust in Mateen there. That was I don't know. That was spicy from that was as spicy as my take for this race. Whoa!
My Lord, he's done it again.
I think Mateen looking to turn in regularly. Damiano was already there, but I'm really just not quite sure about that one. And Mateen might lose out here as Hislop is looking very, very fast in that GCR.
Mateen's made a bit of an error and Hislop right there, but it's tight with Vintner. The chaser is now the chased. Vintner now looking to get past Hislop when it was the reverse in race 1. Isn't that interesting? You get the reverse in race 2, which is a reverse top 10 of what you get in race 1. Who would have guessed?
I can't believe it. It's literally unfathomable.
Revolutionary.
Hey, Glenn, when are we going to get that replay of John Rad's incident? Oh, good. Here we go. So
Right on cue. So
take us through this one, Lexi.
yeah, he just gets loose and around it goes, and yep, that is throttle, that is no brakes.
All gas, no brakes, I think is what they call that one. Hey, that's going to come with a bit of a whack, I think.
Yes, especially given that the contact occurred outside of the racing track.
Yeah. It went on for quite a while. There was definitely a point to be giving up on that one.
Yeah, there was ample time for Rad to react, so that's going to come with quite the invoice there.
Meanwhile, looking ahead, Admiral Name 2.5 seconds up. He is just in the clear. He's not even worried about those people behind him. Ben Oliver, Miller 1.9 from Ben Oliver right now. But Giacomin, after that generous bit of racing, I guess, from Barker, is P4 already with the fastest lap, 7/10 behind the back of Miller. So I said it before.
He's on his way.
Miller had a pretty quiet race last time out. It's not going to be that way. There's a very angry Ferrari behind him right now.
I mean, even then, still his pace is pretty similar to what Oliver's staying at about 1.9 seconds behind him. So still a very good showing from Miller. And even if he comes out of this with a P3 and a P4, he'll be absolutely wrapped.
Oh, there'll be champagne.
Because right now, well, going into this round, there was 5 points in the Pro-Am Championship. And better yet, John Rad and Jack Miller were tied on 390 points.
Ooh, so Miller is going to be well clear of those guys after this outing at Red Bull Ring.
I mean, one thing to note, Miller has been uber consistent. His overall points, well, he's had one less race, but his overall points are 423. Daryl M 437. Oh dear. Nice.
I don't know why we try.
Nice.
Thanks. Just, Miller is so good, so consistent. He hasn't put a foot wrong all night, and
it happens to be the one time I'm looking at the standings and not at the screen.
So.
So what was it a commentary curse if I wasn't even looking at the screen?
No, it's a very pure form of curse.
Yeah. I am just special, I guess.
Well, that's got Giacomin up into P3. It's been a pretty breezy run right now for Giacomin, but he's got a ways to go if he does want that P1. And with the way Admiral Name races, I'm not sure that's going to happen. We're down the fields, and we are with the Sofa King Slow BMW, and it is coming under fire from Pascal Armstrong, and Bishop is looking to get into this fray. He's defending the inside of T3. Pascal Armstrong going the long way around. Ooh, not a lot of room there, and he's across the sausage curb. He's going to have a look to the inside for T4, but I think he's lost a little bit too much speed to challenge this time around.
I'm surprised that Vintner's dropped so far down from Hislop. It's 2.2 to 2 seconds. That's a lot of twos. Meanwhile, Mateen's trying to hold off Hislop. Only about a 10th clear at the last interval. So, yeah, it's looking pretty solid for Hislop right now. Maybe not so good for Ben Vintner.
I think one thing with Mateen, given Mateen plenty of praise, and it's not even, I'm not dragging them or anything, but I think their one thing is they succumb to pressure a little bit. I have noticed, when they've got someone following them really close behind for a long time, there's a mistake or two. And I mean, it happens to everyone. You have to be really, really good to not succumb to that kind of pressure. But that is something I have noticed about their game.
Yeah. you have to be pretty steady in your defense, and I think at this stage there's still something Mateen can work on, but he's got a very, very good base.
Oh yeah,
I would
we're
just
saying,
like-
we're saying this. I'm pretty sure Mateen is better than me already, and you know I'm goated. So
I would just like to note that Gia Curman has set a 27.995, I think it was. So basically a 28.
oh yeah, basically
In the race.
Yeah. That's a pretty bloody rapid though.
Yeah, as we see down the inside, Damiano with his trademark move down the inside at turn 4. Can he get it done on Tanner? They're still side by side. Damiano will have the trickier racing line, and he's going to have to back out of it. He's going to try a bit of a switcheroo here to try and get to the inside for the next corner at turn 7, but he can't do anything about it. So it's going to be still P7 for now, but Tanner was a little bit wide, but not wide enough to open a gap up for Damiano to sneak up the inside and drive past the McLaren just yet.
A little bit of a juke to the inside just to let Tanner know he's still there, but it's all mind games for now.
Yep, it is simply trying to get the driver ahead to react, and well, he was able to do that with Mateen earlier, so I guess he's figured that's probably a good strategy to go about today.
Yeah, it was pretty spicy on Mateen though.
Yeah.
But for now, he remains invoice free, free to do his thing. As they charge up the hill one more time. Still a little bit of space between these two. We've got Bishop still in a tight battle with Pascal Armstrong a little bit further down the field. I would say if there was another race, they'd be close to battling for reverse pole. Reverse pole. But there is no other race. This is it.
Yeah, so my response to that would be Alex Pascal Armstrong's team name.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
No, so they will just fight for position, and what position they get, that's a position they'll have, and they'll go to sleep at night knowing that they've finished either P11, P12, or somewhere else on the field.
Would you say that the race is in their hands? It's theirs to win or lose?
Well, I mean, still haven't even hit halfway through the race, so I think it's anyone's to win or lose.
Very wise, very wise. These guys falling off the back of Vintner a little bit here. It looks a little bit bigger than 1.3 to me, to be honest. So,
well, it was 1.6 at the last interval, so yes, it was bigger than 1.2. As, oh dear, there's been some contact between Turcolini and Tanner. Oh dear.
Uh-oh. Oliver, though...
Damiano might be picking up a bit of an invoice now.
Oliver really having to defend from Giacomin's charge right now, and it's... I dare say it's looking a little bit unstable, this defense right now. Giacomin just shows a little bit in the mirrors just for a little bit of a head fake. So the move's not quite there. It's going to be a little bit later, Oliver.
Interesting to note, Damiano seemed to slow down a lot at turn 1 and has now gone back behind Tanner, so I believe he thinks he's in the wrong and needs to redress that position, which has been pretty costly for his race.
It's well, my prediction is looking terrible now. We got Mateen P7, Berkeley P14.
I'm just got a name on top.
Yeah, 1 for 3 is not too bad. Very deep there from Giacomin. But
just following over a little too close. As here it is. Oh, it's going to be one of these final corner shenanigans. Yeah, okay.
It was close. It was close. Oh, a bit of a tap there. A little bit impatient from Mateen. It was close, but unfortunately, it's so hard to get a move done through there. It's really not one that you want to be going side by side through. So Damiano doing the gentlemanly thing and redressing that position, waiting for Tanner to come back through. A little bit spicy, rolling slowly on the racing line here. It's not really ideal, but hopefully everyone, well, we saw no further incidents, so no harm's been done, but...
Yeah, it did look like Damiano just got a little bit too wide, trying to take a little bit too much room, and rear corner was always going to go around. And that's deep from Giacomin. And is Oliver going to get back through? No, he's not. He's still got the outside line, but I think Giacomin, despite going a little bit deep, will be able to hold on to P2 here.
Just really a wide entry to that corner there for Oliver. Was thinking they might still be fighting through that one, but just nothing to be had there. And Giacomin P2.
Yeah, and now he's got 7.4 seconds to try and catch Name, which, look, 12 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. I think, at best, Giacomin's gaining by a tenth, 2/10 a lap. I don't think you need to do the maths on that.
No, I don't think it's happening. And I also think Name's probably got it in. He's got the gear in Sunday. He's probably not driving absolutely balls to the wall, full hard, full beans. So if Giacomin does happen to catch the back of Name, I think Name will start, putting more coal in the oven, if you will.
Yep. Activating the nitrous oxide.
Whatever metaphor you like, I think a Name's got this one relatively locked up. So Giacomin, I think, is going to have to settle for P2, really. It's not looking so good for your two Pro-Ams on the podium thus far.
Yeah, look, I think both of our predictions might have been a little bit too spicy for this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't looking too bad at the start, I will admit, but unfortunately, pretty much all the Pro-Ams got caught up in something.
Yeah.
So,
Damiano's not doing me any favors either, with that nonsense down at the final corner.
Look, I think we just need to stop making predictions, because the drivers we predicted to do well, look.
No, great. Look, it's, at the end of the day, they're in control of their fate. You can call it a commentator's curse if you want. You're the one behind the wheel,
I'm not behind the wheel, otherwise it really would be a commentator's curse.
Royal you. Is that a thing? I don't know. You know what I mean. I wasn't talking about you, Lexi Bone. I was talking about you, the drivers going back and rewatching this. I'm talking directly to you.
Yes, okay. That does make some sense. Looks like Name's been able to pick up the pace a bit out front. He's now about 8 seconds clear, so definitely not going to come under any pressure. So just has to keep things nice and steady in the final 10 minutes as Vintner gets very close to the rear end of Abdul Mateen there and loses a bit of time on the exit of turn 3.
Mateen actually lost position to Hislop while we were chatting nonsense. So Hislop able to get that done. Mateen gonna have to defend from Vintner. Interesting season for Vintner. I think a little bit up and down thus far. We got one more round. This is the penultimate round, by the way, if you're not familiar. There's 2 drop rounds for this long season, which is interesting to say the least.
Well, I mean, you say it's been pretty up and down for Vintner. He's still probably going to be P3 by the end of this round and move up a position over Damiano Turcolini in the standings.
Come on now. No, I'm kidding. But I remember, I think it was last season, the season before, he was absolutely red hot. He was challenging podiums every time. And I think this season hasn't been quite so hot, but judging by the standings, he's probably been pretty consistent. Yeah,
it seems the consistency has been pretty good for him. His lowest point score, or his lowest 2-point scores at 59 and 60. So, been pretty good going for Ben Vintner overall. Name did miss a race, but even his drop round beyond that is still 68. So, being very consistent.
Yeah, Name's been untouchable as well. I think he lost one race where Giacomin caught him sleeping on the first corner of the first lap and just was never able to get that back. I guess last race was not champagne, but he's brought that result back this time out.
Yeah, so it's been generally pretty consistent. It's been quiet from Vintner, but consistent. He's been able to put in the results when he's needed to. So overall, pretty solid. we have just under 8 minutes to go in this race. A little bit more quiet now that the drivers have sort of spaced out a bit. Bishop here in P9 doing reasonably well. He's gotten clear of Pascal Armstrong now and is looking to move up towards Vintner, but 5.9 seconds not going to be easy for him to do. Vintner, meanwhile, still all over the back of Mateen, who hasn't quite had as good of a race, but he's still fighting up in a pretty good territory.
Yeah, it's a pretty good recovery race for Bishop after the purported technical issues at the start of this race, starting from the back of the grid. So getting up to 9th is nothing to turn your nose up at thus far.
Yeah, fully agree. He's been clean. He's driven a pretty solid race. He was meant to start like P3 or P4. Unfortunately, as you said, ended up being P16, and he's moved up to about halfway through the field. So he can be pretty happy with the performance he's put on. That will help him in his Silver Class Championship fight with George Sakanias, who is not here tonight.
Yeah, no George. So that's all points to be putting on George. So Bishop will be, at least has to be happy with that. You can take that one home.
Yeah, that's it. And Sakanias has used all of his drop rounds as well, so this 0 points will stand as a 0 point.
Ooh, yeah. That hurts.
It really does, because Bishop, meanwhile, he's only missed one round, so his second drop round is a 36 point. So he's, even if he were to miss the last round, he would have 36 points that he would be able to gain if Sakanias was here and he wasn't.
That's why you gotta show up. If you want to win, you gotta show up.
Absolutely. I mean, one thing to know, I think next race is a 1.5 times point race. So that puts a few more odds on, and it's still pretty tight. So anything can happen. But yeah, Sakani's missing this one does not help him at all.
Nay. It's also going to be a 1.5 hour race next time out at Indianapolis. Interestingly, Damiano Thurcolini getting a 5-second penalty for dangerous driving on lap 10.
I assume that would be for slowing on the racing line.
Hold on. We never got the penalty for John Rat.
That was last race.
Was it actually?
That was last race.
Was it really?
It was last race because he got a 10-second penalty that put him on reverse grid pole.
No. The, completely losing control of the car and not holding the brakes.
Oh, true, yeah. We haven't seen anything of that, so... my guess is that it wasn't reported to the stewards.
He hit someone. How did that not get reported? That's crazy.
Nah, I don't know. Either... Yeah, there you go. So 5 seconds per Turk is for slowing on the racing line or addressing, causing another car a position not for the spin. Yeah, there you go. So...
Yeah.
But, yeah, look...
I pointed that out. 100,000 IQ commentary from me. But yeah, interesting that nothing came through for that John Wright incident before.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely forgot about that. So there you go.
It's interesting. I do want to say, I do wonder some of our newer drivers and maybe some people, well, yeah, new to racing, new to OR, I think potentially a little bit timid to call out that number. You absolutely should. You're your own advocate. A couple of races
I think the driver that was caught up in it was Ben Vintner, so I don't think this really applies here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to make the point anyway. Luckily for me, the race that was not broadcast, I absolutely murdered someone. And they did not call their number. I called my own number because it was that bad, and I got a drive-through penalty for it because it was that bad. And it's you have to call your number. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to call your number.
Yeah. When I unfortunately murdered people when I was still racing in this game, I would, if I felt like I was at fault for an incident or was caught up in any sort of incident where it would be my fault or someone else's fault, or perhaps it was just something I was a little bit dubious of, I would always call my number. But yeah, you can definitely see there some drivers may not be aware of that, or a little bit timid, or maybe don't even have their like mic set up properly to be able to call out their numbers. But it is definitely something I would recommend if you are going to be racing in OR. The stewards do a very, very good job at looking through the incidents that are reported. But yeah, if they're not reported, then what can you do?
They're not always going to catch it. So, yeah. Just interesting, that one. Mateen, 1 second off the back of Hislop, so kind of maintaining that Vintner. We're actually on board with Vintner. 7/10 off Mateen. So it's not, the gap is just sort of stable. It's not really, there's nothing much to be done here for Vintner, it seems, with the pace that he's currently got. We have 2 minutes left in the race, and we have Admiral Name 333 McLaren just crossing the finish line now, which means I can do this math. There's going to be 2 more laps unless something drastic happens.
Something drastic, and I mean, even then, if something drastic happens, it would require pretty much the entire grid to blow up.
Look, I didn't downplay how drastic it had to be. It's going to have to be pretty monumental. But
speaking of monumental, that is monumentally wide from Lim there, and if that is not a track limits warning, then I don't know what is.
Hey. Yeah. Daryl Lim just giving it his all with this last.
Oh,
that's gonna be like 2 in like.
That's a few speed seconds. Mr. Lim, are you okay?
That's. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, and he's a bit deep, but he's kept it in the racing line, so fair enough. Look, it's not the most ideal way of going about the track.
I don't know. Might be, end of the race, you start losing focus a little bit, especially if you've been behind the same car for a little while. I get it. But, yeah, you can't be doing too many of those, that's for sure.
Yep, so
wheels on the grass for Pascal Armstrong. Oh, it's all coming. It's a little bit, it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Daryl Lim's gotten a lot closer after those few moments from Pascal Armstrong, but it's kind of lost it already before I even finished the sentence.
Yeah,
it's just ebbing and flowing.
Because he went wide himself through turn 7 and 8, and I think Lim is really starting to struggle here. Yeah, you look, that rear end on that Rari is not looking kind.
They both look very squirmy. I think the tire's probably a little bit cooked. Jack, not too hot actually, which is interesting to see that we've seen a lot of tire.
Oh, that's
looks
why.
like tire
And here we go.
struggles.
That's Lim. He's going to be flying straight through because that was deep from Pascal Armstrong. So Lim up into P10 as. Oh no, Bishop. Oh, Bishop. No. Oh no.
No. Bishop.
He's returned the pits.
Maybe the ghosts of the technical issues come back to haunt him. We might get vision of that one in a moment. But however, we are actually blink and you'll miss it. We're at the end of the race. Admiral Names coming around the final corner to bring this one home with a healthy lead over Luca Giacomin. It was a valiant effort to fight from P11 up to P2 for Giacomin, but unfortunately he's ran out of track and ran out of time to potentially grab that P1. So it's going to be Name from Giacomin, and we have Oliver feeding his way through across the line now. We have a flurry of cars going to be coming through. Daryl Lim and Pascal Armstrong still fighting it out to the end. We have Barker from Miller, from Hislop, from Mateen, from Vintner. And these two are fighting all the way to the very end, but Lim is going to hold on after that mistake from Pascal Armstrong into T1.
Did he just run out of fuel at the end there? Because he slowed down a lot as it was coming across the line.
I don't know, but he's finished ahead, and that's good enough for me, because that would have made me look silly.
It's right across the line, P11. Damiano I believe he may have been caught up in another accident potentially. Oh, don't tell me he's had another incident of town. What's happened with Azul?
Was there an incident there and Azul was waiting for someone?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I saw there was a yellow flag for Tanner earlier, but interesting. And Jeff Beaton will be crossing the line. P15 hasn't been the greatest of weeks for him here in Austria.
It's still points, baby. It's still points.
That's it. Everything's points when you've only got the 16 out there.
Whew. It was a milder one. I think we used up all the spice in our predictions for that race, but
yes.
It's a good bounce back drive there from Emerald Name to just absolutely solidly take the reins on that one and never let go. And we will cross over to some results for you guys in a moment. Lexi, on the brain, we got a driver of the day cooking up.
Yeah, so for race 1, I think Miller deserves it. He drove a fantastic race to get onto the podium. For race 2, I would say the drive of Gia Coman's up there, but also Barker's sort of fell a little bit under the radar. He kept things nice and clean. He had a bit of pressure from behind. He was able to make some decent moves. And yeah, came home in a respectable position in P4, so not too bad there. As we look at our race results, we'll jump over to race 1 first. So it was Vintner from Hislop, Miller, Barker and Mateen. Your silver class was Hislop, Oliver and Bishop. Pro-Ams, it was Miller, Tanner, Rad, and in the AM class it was Mateen and Izul. Jump over now to race 2. Sorry, I cannot speak. And we don't have proper race results at the moment because race 2 isn't it. There we go. Now we'll get some results.
It gets a little bit wonky when someone hasn't quite finished the race and they've just returned to the pits. But just take us away.
Yes. So we had name from Gia Coman, Oliver, Barker, and Miller. Your top 5. Silver class, it was Oliver, Hislop, and Bishop. The Pro-Am class, we had Miller, Lim, and Pascal Armstrong. And then the AM class, it was Mateen and Azul.
Well. That is going to do us for your Wednesday night racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Tomorrow night, we're going to have our GT4s racing at, I believe, Alton Park, which should be an absolute hoot. Followed up with Split Red back at the Red Bull Ring for their Super Sprint round. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for watching tonight, and thank you, Lexi, for joining me in the booth. And thank you to all our stewarding team and Glenn Germain on the cameras. Lexi, do you have any closing thoughts for this one?
Yeah, it's been great to jump in the commentary booth for Red Bull Ring. Hasn't been the most exciting, but we saw some decent action, some interesting moments. So looking forward to being back again in the future.
Oh, one last thing. First Duos race of the 3rd series happening this Saturday. It is at Watkins Glen, and that is sure to be something to look out for. So if you've got not much on your Saturday night, tune in for that one. But thank you all again. Have a lovely night.